Sure, it was to OUG, but they're very quick, very aggressive. That will have suited them to a T. For Elevate as well, you've often played around slums. You've started to see issues with that through the year. I'm encouraged for Elevate, not just through this matchup, but through the tournament, that they've got a deep playbook in terms of the amount of maps that they can play and feel comfortable on.
That's actually awesome, and that's a great point. I totally agree with you in a sense that, well, Elevate do not stop to what's going on at the time. They try to be creative. They try to bring in something new, either like by being totally aggressive like they did last year, or by taking a step back, like for example they did on the Search and Destroy against OG. They're not sticking themselves to a single plan. They have multiple options to branch off.
They most certainly do. But Hacienda Hardpoint will kick starters then in a rematch of the grand finals of the 2024 Mobile World Championships. This time here in Poland. This time the calendar year is 2025. Will we see the same result, or do Wolves have more bite about them? Can the pack hunt their opponents down? Elevate and Wolves will duel out in the top hole, start to try and control here, as is typical. This is going to be back forth all over the place. Not going to be much of a foothold. It's all about controlling P2 side. It's going to be the left on the minimap in your bottom corner. That's what everyone's going to focus on once we start to see that timer tick down nearer to 20.
That's right. Well, the fight continues, and as per usual, back and forth, back and forth. One team, then the other. One player, then the next one. In here, 12 to 10. There is a few players on the outside of the hill from Elevate who will begin to try to push in, and so they do. Like you mentioned, this is just the usual. We are now having to prioritize point number 2. Inside of it first, there was Sai, but a good nade will blow him up, and because of that, Elevate is actually going to be there first.
Yeah, superb rotation coming out of Elevate. Prioritize the moment at the right time, but also because you had pressure up the map, it spawned Wolves literally the opposite side, so it's going to take them a moment to get there. However, you have got a player in through the back. I believe that's Sounds who's found his route to Gates. Actually, no, it's going to be King. Does a great job of just helping his team spawn in. So all of a sudden, Elevate recognize that their footing is under threat. They'll have to turn and face, play this out through checkers. PJ is looking to hold the close steps. Yop is going to play out from the water side. And it's largely blue in the feed until Peg interrupts it. Back forth pinstripe, but right now most of the points have gone to Elevate. You can test for a second if you're Wolves, but Sparrow's already earned, and Yoppy's turned and face. Unfortunately, gets it all wrong and takes himself to the grave, but it's a great start regardless from Elevate.
It definitely is a great start, that's for sure. Still 20 seconds left. Sai thinking about bouncing inside. There's the War Machine coming down from Candy, who takes the kill onto Sounds, immediately pushes through, and that is going to be, I thought it was going to be a clean couple of seconds for the side of Elevate. It seems like Wolves had other idea of it, fights for a couple extra seconds, and now they rotate to the next area. The first one to get there is going to be Sai. Sai will be trying to build a fort, but there's multiple people coming in hot at the same time, and even more so from up above. Bread Missile will not connect, but does open for the opportunity for the side of Elevate to come in.
Well, Elevate defended very well at P2. Wolves really be given an opportunity to defend here at P3. They're going to have to fight for it instead. 3 kills will do a great job of that. Make that a 4th. Susano's going to put up the last bit of resistance here. And Tempest in hand from King as he turns, finds the remaining Elevate threat. And anyone coming through that doorway will be greeted by thunderous applause and lightning as they trickle on down. Death Machine up next. Well, looking to find King inside a tin, just about does. This has been a solid hill for Wolves in terms of the kills. A couple of operator investments, sure, but not as many points as you probably would have liked. They need this scrap.
That's the thing, not really a whole lot of points being added into the scoreboard. They managed to pick up a few, but definitely not as many as they would have loved to. Everybody begins to move to the next area, and I find it rather interesting how, to the very end, Wolves is fighting for the last few seconds. I'm not too sure if that's actually paying off for them.
I agree. The fact that you've not rotated incorrectly once, it can be a stylistic choice for some teams. They prefer to break, but well, the other suggestion would be that Elevate are very happy to defend. To counter that, it hasn't happened yet for Wolves. Claude's going to hold the mid-holes with the equalizers. Manages to get one. Cleaned up from there. Balls then set up inside a rock. Can you defend? Well, 3 instant replies from Elevate will make that a very difficult thing to do. In you go. There is a Sparrow very close if Yoppie wants to invest once he gets there. Never mind, PJ's going to decide he wants the Tempest. Out goes the first, the second, frying the opponents in front of him. The Wolves don't understand what's hit them just yet. They're 40 points down, and honestly, that's feeling closer than it should be.
And I mean, at this point in time, you really need to have an answer also for PJ, who may not have a shotgun, but he certainly is making it rain onto the opponent. So far, a 40-point gap in between Elevate and Wolves. As we go back onto the P1 reset, it is important for Wolves to come up with something new, something different. We spoke about how much of a playbook Elevate has, and at this point in time, it's working to perfection. I'm not too sure if they're going to change what's already working for them.
You certainly don't want to change it if you're PJ. You're on 22 kills already. King will find one with the Tempest, but sees the rest of his teammates die around him. So it's a case of, I've invested my Tempest. I need everyone to play off the back of it. He does enough to shut down the war machine, sorry, from Kendi, but well, you fall in the trade as well. Elevate continues to just eke out the lead, refusing to go away here. Zai's going to drop in through the back. So often the superstar for this team through this tournament and through this year, but he's only on 9 kills so far. Need to see a bit more from him if you're a fan of the Chinese team.
It's super weird to see, like you mentioned, 9 turning it to 10 and 11, but it's not what we're used to seeing, and as such, he just got a 3-piece in there. Let's see how much value they can take off of that, because once again, Wolves are going to be late to the party. 122, to 62 lead in favor of Elevate. Inside of the hill, there is going to be King. King trying to survive is going to be executed. The next one to try to fight was Peg, but also got taken down. The rotation continues, and those spawns are there in favor of Wolves, but let's see for how long. A few utilities are going to be popped here by the side of Elevate without too much value, but there's still a Tempest and an Equalizer.
The last time we came to P2, Elevate got themselves in early. Wolves eventually broke, but Elevate were happy to fight it from the front. This time, almost a bit of a flip situation. Actually, Elevate will just clear the whole house. Wolves will spawn well side, start to try and push in through the lobby and through the driveway. Can you get there in time? Well, the only thing you're going to meet is Close Equalizer, who finds 2, but actually Win does incredibly well. Tucks himself off to the opposite corner and shoots him in the back, but 2 kills there just mean that Elevate continue to look great at Lambo. Wolves are contesting, so that's limiting the amount of damage here, softening the blow just a bit. With those spawns further out, Elevate might just continue to rotate away and leave Wolves to what's left of a very little amount of scrap time.
And I mean, Elevate just continues to gain style points with how they've been playing today as a whole. Not only against Wolves, but overall today they've been looking super good, super clean. And, well, they continue to make the opponents struggle like crazy. Wolves trying to come up with something. There was the Tempest completely annihilated. There was the War Machine also taken down. Sounds was not able to do a whole lot of damage with the operator. On the other hand, there's Kendi with 1, with 2, looking for 3, but why does he not get it? Because his allies are faster than him. They are all pretty much fighting one another, trying to get those kills. That's how fast and fierce the side of Elevate is playing.
Win's going to try and counter that with the Sparrow. We'll have a couple of bodies around him to protect. They know where the spawns are, so they're squeezing that back line. Death Machine will finally be ripped out of Zai's hands, but the VMP up close for Wind has provided plenty of purchase so far. Needs a bit more. Wolves getting closer to 100 points. It's still a sizable lead for Elevate, but you can feel that pendulum of momentum shifting, just a little bit. 100 is made, but what's the play when it comes to Rock? Elevate were happy to contest this all the way through last time and ensure that Wolves didn't get anything from it. But Wolves have gotten there first, so how do you defend this time? And well, when a Death Machine greets you at the door, the answer's probably not very well. Problem is for Susano here, you've got to focus both sides. You do a great job of doing so, and you are going to spot that player in the water. No, well, you do, but a little bit too late and get shut down.
Pretty unfortunate situation there for him, but it is what it is. His allies are still going to be inside. 176 points now as they continue to grow that advantage in themselves. Now, Claw using the Equalizer, going to take 1, going to take 2, going to go for 3, takes it like it's nothing, just destroying, annihilating, shredding through the opponents. Now, a 100-killer drone will fly by, has a few extra seconds with the Equalizer, gets another opportunity to do more damage. That's another double kill for Claw. Finally gets killed, but on top of it, he gets a knock with a 100-killer drone. 200 points have been reached by the side of Elevate, and Wolves are barely on 107.
The problem is here for Wolves, you tried to play in through the front, you get swatted away. You look for that mid-map control, you're met by an equalizer. So Elevate are just going to continue to storm ahead here. A nearly 100-point lead heading into our third rotation. Anyone see this coming? Was this on your bingo card? I highly doubt it. Where is the Wolves that everyone talked into this series, into this World Championships? Elevate said they've been practicing here on Hacienda Hardpoint, and they are putting everything that they have learned to great use. Zai tries to get in, shut down. King and Wind will answer, but it's far from clean if you're the Wolves.
It is far from clean indeed. Now they're trying to get through, but it's just not so simple, not so easy. Whenever anybody gets close, there's Peg inside trying to defend himself. Finding a kill, there's Joppy to immediately take him apart. Triple kill now using that Sparrow already with 29 kills. The side of Elevate are feeling confident, I'm feeling comfortable, and they are trying to close this one up as quickly as possible. And we already understand why OG struggles so much. They're just so good.
Elevate showing significant prowess in this map 1 here. This was supposed to be their biggest test. It might be one of their biggest victories so far of the tournament. 235 to 116. Wolves have rotated at least 4-2, but you are going to have players playing on both sides. You are hemmed in. You must win some big fights, or this could be your final stand. Zai, King, Sounds, they'll get kills. Tempest and a Operator in the Death Machine are going to be invested here. Coming in, Zai looking to find routes. The War Machine as well from Sounds. And you've just got to hold, you've got to stand, you've got to fight. Yoppy with a double on the nade, and PJ might let Elevate get in here and break, and they could win it.
There's just no way. They invest so much, yet get rewarded so little on the side of Wolves. There's the Tempest and the Death Machine now on the side of Elevate. Less than 10 seconds away. That's a 3-piece. And another double with a nade. The side of Elevate are having so much fun in here. They're just a few seconds. Equalizer again. That's 1. That's 2. Maybe make it a triple. It does not matter because the game is already over. Elevate with an outstanding game of Hardpoint are yet again going to dominate another opponent, and not only just an opponent, we're talking about Wolves here.
We said coming into this series, this would answer more questions than any other that they've played. But for both teams as well, coming into this tournament, it was all about how Elevate, the gap had closed, shifted. This was now a double elimination bracket, so it would be more difficult for Elevate to pull off a surprise run. For Wolves, it was about how much better you were going to be. You were going to dominate in the respawns. Well, the evidence at the end of map 1 is resoundingly against that. Elevate will look to Clo 52 and 30 to start things off, and PJ with 45 and 35 to go big. 2 minutes in the hill as well from Clo. Guy put on a big map 1 here to see off the defending world champions. It's a statement and a half, not only because, as you said, this is Wolves, but also we alluded a little bit to the fact that these guys are building a bigger map pool. They have more and more tricks up their sleeve. They look incredibly comfortable on Hacienda.
Yeah, they look to be super comfortable, but according to his words, I'm not too sure if I heard him correctly, saying that they felt a bit rusty. If this is rusty, how does a well-oiled machine would look like in this map? Like 250 to like 20 or something like that? It is just wild to be able to properly dominate multiple teams, not only once in a while. You know, maybe a single match you got into the flow state and dominated. No. This is a consistent matter they've been able to do over and over and over again. And I would argue that usually Wolves tend to have better respawns than Search and Destroy. So by them not being able to capitalize on that against Elevate, what are we to expect on the rest of the series?
That is a great question. As we see the winning moment there for Elevate, that was comfortable, to be quite honest with you. And while we expected a lot of their previous games to go that way, I think Wolves, we were expecting something more like what we got out of the New Gen Ninjas game yesterday, where very much so down to the wire. But comfortable and calm and collected, and honestly, as a group, that just seems to be how they are. They very much so take it at face value. They play the game, very humble players. For Wolves, well, I think that picture on your screen sums it up, ladies and gentlemen. You'll be feeling the pressure right now. You will understand this is the throne that you feel belongs to you. You feel like this should be something that has your name etched on it, should be you trying to defend your crown. These people in front of you stole it from you last time. And the message from the Elevate interview was, if you want the crown, you'll have to come through us. Well, I think that was aimed at a certain team in this tournament. And Wolves know that right now they're not answering that call.
Not at all, not at all. They're looking at the crown, but from down below. They have not been able to get close to it. And as we begin to ready up for the second map, for that search and destroy, the questions open up. Are they going to be able to tie things up, or same way that OG, they're going to struggle and they're going to lose 2-0 in the overall series? Well, we're actually going back into search and destroy on firing range. We saw how many different strategies, paths, and approaches Elevate has, and that could be helpful for Wolves, but at the same time can be overwhelming with how many different things they can come up with.
It looks like the first thing Elevate are going to come up with is a sniper rifle to the soul of King. Find the first, but it is instantly replied, so that numbers advantage will matter very little. The squeeze towards B here for Wind. Susano, did you see him cross? It doesn't look like it, so there could be a surprise coming their way.
That's right, a surprise probably coming their way for now. Well, the one-on-one trade doesn't really benefit anybody. The bomb is currently under the hands of Sounds, but they don't have a clear path just yet. Seemingly gonna be rotating towards B, and the only one defending that area is going to be Candy. Candy, the only one with a kill so far, is gonna try to land a jump shot. Not going to be the case. Gets a hit marker, but not a kill. Makes the call out for his teammates, but they may be late to the party. There's going to be 3 kills going immediately in favor of Wolves, and all of a sudden, PJ is the only player alive. It felt like Wolves just went straight into the action. They have already spotted the last remaining player. The bomb is planted, and with such an overwhelming pressure, Wolves will take the first round.
There's an interesting thing that happens there. Wind ends up through the Elevate team, completely missed by Kendi, and as such he's round the back, can hand out all the intel in the world, and ends up with a kill for it as well. So it's one of those that Elevate are going to wonder how the hell he got there, and to be honest, so are we. Back into the round here for number 2. Wolves draw first blood on the attack, of course. And looking for first blood in this round is going to be Zai, ringing out the sniper shots. It was King that went down last time. Can Zai do better to peers over A? There is not that aggressive defense towards A from Elevate this time. So another example of an ever-changing playbook from them. For Wolves, it's just steady and patient, looking for the picks.
That's right, they are trying to find a pick first. Unfortunately enough, not going to come yet. That was a great job coming down there from Candy. Definitely good upper body strength to be able to get all the way to the top of this tower. Now patiently waiting, looking at Wood. They're gonna find the first enemy, and with a really good quick shot is gonna find the kill with a quick scope. It's straight into King's chest. 1 blood going in favor of Elevate, but bomb is down. Oh my goodness.
It is, but Chloe reads the reposition instantly through the side of Trailer to find Win, so 5v3. It's more of a 5v2 surrounding the bomb as well, because Zai's had to back off to make sure the flank's protected, and I think Elevate recognize that, so they're starting to flood forward. Shotgun in hand for PJ. Sounds just laying on the other side of the sheet metal will soften Chloe up, but you do enough to find the kills. You will find everything if you're Elevate, including the backside, so it's an easy retake. And honestly, I think a lot of it comes down to, sure, you have the numbers advantage before the bomb goes down, but I think it's that instant that Chloe turns into a 5v3, and from there, Wolves will spread too thin.
Yep, makes them stumble, and all of a sudden, they're not too sure whether we defend. We no longer have a clear view of what we want to do, and that's where Elevate comes in, takes those extra kills, defuses that bomb. That double kill at a distance from Susano was also very, very nice. And well, we're moving on to round number 3, and this time around, Elevate will continue to be chill. You know, they're trying to hold their angles. So far, Candy patiently waiting for hopefully a victim. But in here, it seems like Wolves are pretty much repeating, but not quite what they're doing each round.
Well, Wolves slightly delayed their push there and dropped late nades over towards American. As such, it gave them the space to move the bomb. And the plank comes through.
Flashbang.
Susano misses with the sniper. Yop is just going to play this straight through the front door. Unfortunately, so did PJ, and he doesn't make it very far. Klo does nothing. So a 2v3 in favor of Wolves. But look at the player coming around back. The problem is you wanted your boys to stay up at the front so you could make a bit of a surprise play. And Kendi's shots do not connect. Wolves see it off.
2-1. That was a good round. I liked it. I liked it. Well done by Wolves. In here, so far, well, it's gonna be PJ with a shotgun, unable to get a kill quite yet, which is quite surprising. He's just so far being a bit for a slow start. It's fine. We'll see what he has to say as we move forward this time around. Once again, trying to go over on Bravo. Unsure if they're gonna try to do it right now. Seemingly no, not quite yet. But Elevate begins to push forward, and well, at this point in time, they already have a general idea of at least whether or not, and have a clear view if the side of Wolves tries to start making a move.
I think Wolves are looking to bait out a bit of defensive movement here, leave Elevate guessing. Interesting to see that PJ has moved away from that shotgun and onto the SMG. Tucks himself inside trailer. Kendi's looking to provide support down the A side. Nade's going to be thrown back and forth, and Kendi will feel the full force of one. Stays up. Yoppie's covered over mid. Wolves have decided to straighten up here. Looks like they're going to make that A push happen again. It's late, it's delayed, and Yoppie's going to be here with the PKM through the smoke.
50 seconds left. Yoppie with yet another smoke getting in his way. 45 seconds now. And the side of Wolves has to be thinking about what to do next. Time's running short. It seems like Sounds is going to push forward. We'll try to plant the bomb, and that's exactly what he's doing. And Elevate realized that with a great shot under that bomb, Kendi is going to knock out the opponent. The bomb is on the ground. Sai is going to answer back by eliminating Susano. PJ now opens up the floodgates by getting the knock onto Sai. Turning all the way around there was King, but gets executed, and so is Win. All of a sudden, it's a 1v4 Peg completely on his own. He may have 6 kills, but has 4 people in front of him. That's just so difficult. He tried, but in a 1v4 against Elevate, there's only so much you can do.
Great play by Elevate there. The smokes come out from Wolves. Obviously, they've saved them for that later stage so that they can drop it, rush the bomb forward. The PKM just lines through. So as Wolves consider that aggression, it's a case of, well, if we do run forward now, we're running into bullets. Means that they're stemmed, and as the bomb goes down, the sniper's in play to hit the shots, give you the numbers advantage. So counter on counter here. Heading into round 5. And again, another A-focused hit here from Wolves. To very little surprise. What is a surprise is the amount of defensive numbers that just rushed B.
It is, it definitely is, but well, it seems like they tried to take a step forward faster than the opponent. Still, not gonna matter too much. Seems like job with the kill onto Sai. Only King, Wind, and Peg remain on the side of Wolves. Susano getting the intel. There's people around. Gonna make the call for Kendi. That gets the knock onto Wind. Once again, Susano sees the opponent, but without the right timing to properly land a shot there. Once again, does not matter too much. Elevate are just that smart. Yes, they get the kills, but it doesn't mean that they just aimlessly begin pushing. They try to keep organized and look for what the next move is going to be before doing it.
And Susano does indeed wait for the next move to be made, unwavering in his commitment to that sightline. And this is Elevate's right. Took themselves off into corners. They're playing defense. And you see a crossing through mid, or at least an attempt at a crossing. But Kendi's actually also going to spot a player, check back off towards the left in Peg, who is trying to move that bomb forward desperately. You'll notice that they are split, and you should also be able to hear where the bomb's trying to go. And you do, and you get the kill.
That's right. Now all of a sudden it's a 1v3. Oh, that's a great kill there for King. Only Susano and his ally will remain alive. He was just not able to defend himself. That's another point going in favor of Elevate. Before we switch sides, the advantage is there, and it seems like Elevate may be able to repeat something similar to what they did against OG and what they did also yesterday. We were talking about how much of a pretty much near perfect scenario Elevate went through yesterday and has been going through today. they are just willing to win this as fast as possible.
Oh, indeed. It's weird. They're doing it fast by taking it slow. Very patient on their defense. And I know that that's not exactly an uncommon strategy, but Elevate take it an extra mile. Nades up over the top here. Close will miss. PJ takes his time. He's going to let Wind think that he's safe. That's going to encourage Peg forward, but
Wow.
Peg did.
How? Why would you check that? Genuinely.
Recognizes that, hang on a minute, we're missing a body in all this. Could well change the fate of this round.
It is insane that he thought about that. It is just wild to me for him to be so smart, because in a sense that maybe he realized, or you know, my ally did not check this corner, I'm gonna go ahead and do it myself, and he was absolutely correct. Then with a shot there, Candy gets the knock onto Sound. That is now going to be an opportunity for Wolves to try to defend. Only 22 seconds left, and that's the opportunity to tie things up.
You gotta move. If you elevate, Zai recognizes that, steps out at the right time to find Kendi. Yoppy's gonna try and flood forward, but Zai with another. Time is against you, and you'll have to dive Zai with the final three. 3 shots, 3 kills, 3 rounds. Wolves tie us up here at the end of their offense and can now flick over to defense. It's on Elevate to be proactive here. We've seen how they handle things when they have to take their time and slow it down. What does it look like when they get to dictate that pace? Are they going to bring it up? Well, it looks like they're going to go with a rather spread play here. No aggression through B. Looking for those picks, ever the patient players.
And I mean, although Sai took a few seconds to properly get warmed up or whatnot, he is now with a solid 6 kills under his belt. Now, as we have flip spawns, as we mentioned, what is Elevate going to do with the opportunity to try to start with the right hand, with the right foot? So far, they're chill, they're cool, they're collected, they're just waiting in here, which is something similar to what we've seen in the past. Intrigued to know, because we've seen them struggle against time, you know? Sometimes they play a little too slow when it comes down to offense, and that ends up playing against them.
Tough one there for PJ. His nade is intended for the inside of trailer, but falls short. So you can't be 100% certain you've cleared that. You won't have the intel. A second nade did go in. I'm not sure if that connected in the end, but it's a bit of investment here that's gained you little. 45 seconds to go. And maybe you're going to rethink your attack strategy here. Zai will see one cross. That should give you a heads up that the bomb's on the way to B. And look at the Wolves' arrow shift then, as Peg lays in wait and hears. And do you find the kill? You don't need to. You've got support. And all of a sudden, it's a bloodbath. Elevate walking into waiting rifles.
I did not know that everybody was walking into a meat grinder. Incredible. And Sai, from who knows where, decides to just go all the way around and completely surprise an opponent to finish it off. But that was, what, like 8 kills in a span of 10 seconds. It was just pure chaos all over the place, but it's Wolves who ends on top.
I think Wolves recognize exactly how Elevate are going to play this. They're going to slow it down, and you've just got to make moves based on the information. As Kendi whistles a bullet millimeters off his eye's head. Nades are going to go out. What intel do you gain from them? Which should let you know that there's nobody in behind the sheet metal. I don't think that will make you feel better about pushing for A regardless. So let's reposition and look, and Zai finds Susano to open things up here, making that attack ever more difficult.
I mean, if you realize that your opponent, instead of planting the bomb, are chilling in for like a minute, sometimes a minute and 20 seconds, why not do the same? Why not hold the angles? Why not just wait for them to try to make a move and then capitalize on that movement so that you can take an advantage? That's exactly what Wolves is trying to do. They have already gotten their first blood onto Susano. They continue to have a really solid defense over on Alpha, and that's exactly why they make even more callouts. There's the Nade King onto Candy. Elevating a bad spot yet again.
PJ looks over and goes from bad to worse as Klo is caught wrapping through wood. Yoppy gets one of the close barrels at the very least, but it matters not. Simple for Wolves, really. 5-3 up then. And it feels like Wolves have made the adaptations. Early on, Elevate Yes, they're on defense, which is the preferred side here on firing range more often than not. They were very comfortable until all of a sudden Wolves recognize exactly how this is being played. Slow, patient, methodical stuff out of Elevate. The Wolves are happy to meet them there.
And for that same reason, we see a lot of aggression, something completely different going towards a B. There's two players defending, and the call is going to be made. PJ with the first blood tries to go for more, but Pei is going to quickly take note of that. Immediately, Yappy realized that they may be coming through this tunnel. So far, not going to be the case, but at a distance, Candy gets a knock, gets executed himself by Peg. The follow-through falls by the hands of King by eliminating Claw. All of a sudden, it's a 3-4-2. Bomb is going to be planted. 45 seconds on the clock, but the player lead will be in favor of Wolves for the time being.
It's tough because a couple of Elevate players push out there, get picked off, and what you would have done to have them in this post-plant situation is going to leave you relatively one-dimensional. If you Elevate, you just took yourself in the back corners and hope to win the fights, and the fights are coming. Elevate have 2, Wolves have 3. Your forward man's going to be Peg. You've got to breach and clear. The timer is against you, though. Just 20 seconds. Sees one on the right. Doesn't do enough, but the instant trade is there. Susano with the sniper. Finds Win. Can you do enough for the second? The answer is no. King, the returning, retired King, will seal the round out. 6-3 now in favor of Wolves, putting themselves on that point.
The side of Elevate definitely dropping the ball a bit on that round, and Wolves, King more in particular, capitalizing on that mistake, takes that kill on Susano, quickly defuses the bomb, and once again further increases the advantage in favor of Wolves. Map point in favor of the #1 seeded Chinese team here. Sai is gonna first blood onto Susano, and Elevate, they need to come up with something right now.
One of the themes for sure through this is how the Wolves snipers have grown into the game. It's been slow going at points for King, but Zai has really stepped up. Elevate struggling to counter that. I'll still have Kendi in these long sights, but otherwise it's tough going. It might be a case of all-out aggression. Something needs to change here, as Elevate's attack has been, well, snuffed out, smothered at all times. The bomb is off towards A. Bodies both sides, and then with Kendi going as well, it makes it even more of a tough task. You will get a trade, but 4v3, less than a minute on the clock. Elevate, they've adapted well every time we've seen them. They'll need to be perfect here.
Not the best trade, but at least it's something. PJ and execute sounds, which helps a lot. And that it even allows for the opportunity to plant the bomb. That's 3v3. One to try to defend first is going to be Peg. Peg now waiting for his allies. There's King and Win to back him up. 30 seconds on the clock, and at a distance, King is gonna be missing those shots. Gets surprised there, Peg, by the hands of Claw. Claw then executed by Wind, and at this point in time is gonna get more and more difficult, but is still a chance on the side of Elevate. Well, job done. That's a job that's just not easy whatsoever, but at least keeps the dream alive.
Well, we asked for the adjustments, and suddenly Elevate gave us one. They turned the dial up. They suddenly got aggressive over towards B, which Wolves, I don't think were expecting, and had largely vacated. So Elevate take advantage, but instantly Zai, that man there with the sniper to open things up, just giving his team every possible opportunity to succeed. PJ is going to roll forward with the shotgun, and as always on the offense here, without being a man down, you are basically a man down towards this bomb site, because one of you's got to protect that backside. Nothing's coming through there for Wolves, but Elevate don't know that. They're going to have to tuck themselves in for the long stay and an early pick.
That's the thing, when you have one less player, all of a sudden there's way more angles for you to be looking at, to be careful of, to be aware of where they could be coming through. At this point, they're still thinking about pushing towards A. The one carrying the bomb is Yappy, so it's got to wait for a little longer now. Has the opportunity and begins to plant the bomb. There it is. Now 45 seconds on the clock. 5 players still alive on the side of Wolves. King is going to take that knock onto Yappy.
So much lying on the shoulders of Susano here. Do you recognize that 2 are in wood? PJ finds the one inside trailer. You have the shotgun, so you can play the next player around in the corner. And you do get a kill in the back line. Susano does enough to Claw, facing the 2 in front. 3 going to roll forward. And the Wolfpack are here. They are on the hunt. They find one, but Claw answers with 2 and 3 of his own to extend us in the search and destroy. Slips and slides and delivers deadly damage to the Wolves.
Attention you wanted, attention you get. Claw, incredible way to dominate the opponent's triple kill to end things up, to find himself onto double-digit territory. 10 kills total for the Elevate player here, as they are one round closer from activating overtime. Wolves has had map point for a while. Once again, Sai is going to find the first blood, this time onto Candy. Immediately tries to capitalize on it, just thinking about pushing for more, but has to be cautious, has to be careful. They've tried to do that in the past and has not worked out for the last couple of rounds for Wolves.
There's a change up in strategy on the weapon side as PJ scoops a sniper for this round. Susanna will retrieve the one left behind by Kendi.
Smoke out.
And that means you don't have your shotgun player in play. So is this going to be a B move? PJ wants to peer down this A sight line. Recognizes the likely trouble on the other side of it. It's interesting to see that both teams are happy to just give up mid. Not a single soul cares. They're going nowhere near it. Who would dare push through it? Oh.
That was really close. That should have been a kill. Unfortunately enough for the side of Wolves, it was not, but another time though. 40 seconds left. Bomb is in the hands of Yappy. They're only trying to push, and there's Sai gonna get caught off guard. Great and really important kill there for Yappy.
Number Yappy stays into King, who finds a kill. PJ trying to plant the nade will connect, so Peg knows that he can get out there, but Susano's on the cover, and the bomb doesn't go down. So 1v3 then. Chloe, you've already had a triple in this matchup, but this would have to be something else. With just 13 seconds on the clock, he's going to have to grab, he's going to have to dive. Decides to try and push forward instead, bait out the idea that he'd made the bomb plant, and it does nothing for him. Wolves answer back then. It was a resounding map 1 victory in favor of Elevate. A little closer this time, but did feel like a map that after the first 2 rounds or so, Wolves were always in control of.
Absolutely, absolutely. Although it took him a minute to actually close it up, it does not mean that they were feeling too anxious about it. They were still playing really, really good. They managed to finally secure the victory and tie this series up. Wolves doing a great job. And it all comes down to, well, your own regional experience, right? It is an area over in China where S&D has so much of an impact that definitely gets translated here into the championship.
100%. We are going to see here the scores, of course, for the players. Now topping both teams. Chloe on one side, not a surprise probably after that 3-piece that kept the game going. Peg at the top of the other. But zero surprise to see that the highest KD goes to Zai. Felt like he started off a bit slow, but MVP for very good reason for this team throughout the 2025 season. Won so many of those opening sniper duels to give his boys the opportunity to see this through. The chance stacked in their favor, and they do deliver on it. So 1 apiece, we tie it up then.
1 apiece, that's right. We will at least get a map number 4. And, well, although it was a bit of underwhelming to see Wolves struggle so much on hardpoint, you can see it that on S&D, well, they put up a real good fight against Elevate, taking that victory home, taking that map, tying things up, and he begins to open the question even further as to what are we to expect in the rest. We know that, well, that control that we previously saw from Elevate was far from perfect. They had a good round out of the 3, but at the same time, it does not mean that they were flawless by any means. That's something that we did not see on the side of Elevate. So that's something that Wolves can try to capitalize on.
100%. But we will be going to a different map, but it is still the same mode in the sense you've got to control those 2 static points. And we will get to find out, is it an Elevate problem, or is it just that OUG are for some reason insane at control?
Yeah.
We had question marks about Elevate's hardpoint coming into this series. Elevate answered those. I feel like with this raid control now, this is one of those moments where it's a case of, if you are a respawn dominant team, it's the control in the middle of the series that can often be the way in for the squad that's not reliant on those. So for example, Wolves in this look great in the S&D. If they're worried at all about their hardpoint, they really want this control.
No, they do. They do want that hard point. It is very difficult though.
You know, it most certainly is. And of course, a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that we are officially endorsed by the OnePlus 15, the beautiful device on your screen right now. A huge thank you to them, of course, for supporting us here in Poland for the Call of Duty Mobile World Championships. It has been, again, the stage for so many of the storylines that we are ushering in to close out this season. And for Wolves, the conversation looks relaxed, yet intense. They're very focused on what they've got to do next. The conversation's going back and forth.
Yeah, definitely focus is the word that I would be using as well, because they are locked into what's going on. They're still trying to remain calm, but at the same time, make sure that nothing is missing in there as they are prepping here for Raid. As you mentioned, it's a different map. It's a different, but it's the same game mode. And well, if I'm not mistaken, once again, it was Wolves who defeated very dominantly against OUG. So if OUG defeated Elevate that way, I'm thinking that we could see something similar in this scenario. So it begins to open up the question, because OG, of course, they lost the Search and Destroy. They eventually lost the 4th map over on Slums. But by Wolves winning this map number 2, maybe getting way too far away for Elevate to start to feel comfortable or try to feel comfortable.
Well, taking a quick look here at the vetoes, it's Elevate that banned Takeoff. Probably not a surprise after the evidence we saw against OUG. Yeah. Wolves banned Crossfire, which is a incredibly defensive map, shall we say. So I'm wondering if for Wolves it's a case of wanting to feel a bit more free flow on that. Raid, obviously a big map, a wide map, allows you to dictate exactly where you want to play, kind of siphon off portions of the map to your control. But also then that tells me that what they're probably looking for is to control the mid-map, because that then allows you very easily in between A and B. You can change it up on the fly. That comes to me for the SMGs, the aggression. Anyone else of these two teams then that would look to fight in that sort of situation, you think, or control that area of the map, that's going to be really important going into this?
Well, I definitely feel like the ARs are going to be really, really important. Unsure if Sai will opt for a long-distance weapon like a sniper or an assault rifle, but I feel like that's going to be one of the players that is just going to run straight to the middle and then try to branch from there, either to the raid or to the pool, one of the two, but to make sure that he's always in the middle, so he can try to either defend or attack those areas, or straight out go down the middle and try to go for the enemy's respawns. I feel like that's a real possibility that Wolves could be doing here, and I think Elevate or not, I'm gonna have a fun time with this one, honestly.
Yeah, I think so. So you're going with Wolves to take map 3 then? Okay, yes. All right, well, the prediction is in. My analyst has made the call. Do Wolves answer? Well, do Elevate have a little bit more to say here? It's an interesting discussion, kind of looking at the years that these two have had. For Wolves, they had a little bit of a wobble through the stage 2 in COD Major, and it was partially onto the S&D, also partially onto the control. So have you learned the lessons? I always think this about some teams. If I'm one of the best teams in the world, I kind of want to go through periods where I've struggled, because then I can learn how to get better. We've seen Elevate learn a couple of tricks here, kind of prepping for Hacienda, adding that to their map pool. For Wolves, it's a case, I guess, of have you gotten better enough at control that those earlier problems are now a strength for you?
I feel like Wolves has managed to do that on the later quarter of this year. They have done such a good job at making sure that they are not only rushing for the kills, but also capitalizing on those with the objectives, with the ticks. We know how important it is to start getting those OVJ seconds, because at the end of the day, if you do get to that 5th round, the best opportunity or the best chances are for those who are on defense, so might as well try to opt for it just in case.
May as well, indeed. Our two teams wait to get themselves into map 3. Let's take a quick look at the playoff bracket and talk about the big picture here in Poland. An update that it is 1 apiece, of course, between Wolves and Elevate. That's the game you're watching here on the B stream. Q9 and Stalwart are waiting. But Galores have seen off Street Gaming, that matchup of the two Brazilian teams. I kind of feel for Street Gaming. Felt like they showed us that they were a really good team there. They lose 3-0. It's relatively comfortable in the end. I think you match up against a lot of the other teams here quite well if you're Street Gaming. But that one's been going on inside their region for some time. Galores so often have the upper hand. Also got to be a sore one for Pabzera.
Yeah. I feel like it's very weird on those type of scenarios where you prepare for other areas, but Galoris knows Street so well and have been able to dominate them for so long that it gets difficult. It gets very, very difficult when it comes down to your own region. You know one another so well that how do you surprise them?
I mean, that is a good question. You're probably needing the new player in Pabzera to come out and do something, and who knows Pabzera very well? Galeris. So yeah, it's a very difficult situation for them. But Galeris will march on through our lower bracket, guarantee themselves at least top 6. Of course, their region at least top 6. They will await on the lower teams to arrive. And in order to get them, we need some losers, and that means we need some victors. And who will be that after the end of this map 3? Rocking forward then onto the raid control. Elevate immediately swarmed mid. They knew exactly what they wanted to control on the defense. Wolves, it was a push up the driveway towards Ring, and they will get nowhere really. Zai will stick around for a half moment with a Type 63 and does well to find 1 kill, because if he hadn't, all of a sudden Elevate basically in your spawn.
And right now he knows that there's someone around. He can hear him, but cannot see him just yet. Picks up a weapon from the ground, finally spots an opponent, but immediately the push from Susano is going to shut that down rather quickly. Great trade back by the hands of Wolves, but still far from perfect. Struggling a bit here on the beginning of round number 1, and that's because of how well organized Elevate is playing in here. Now 50 seconds left. They finally send a player in, but I like the way that Elevate was playing to try to build an advantage early on that they are definitely getting.
Certainly are, up by 8 to kick things off. 1 tick will come through at least, or has it fully come through? I think it has, yeah. It's, screen's quite far away here inside the studio, but it has indeed confirmed that 1 tick will be on the board for Wolves, starting to make progress at A. PJ's coming in. You need the arriving player in bed in Peg to give you that intel. Does get there eventually. So 1 tick through. 30 seconds paused on the clock. Elevate here, I think, weighing up. Do we hit this? We got to find some picks first. Outgo the nades to try and give you that. Or do we just set up in mid and not allow them over to B?
Well, it seems like they are going to be capturing Alpha. They tried to defend it on the side of Elevate, but they were a little bit too late. Not that they care too much, you know, they're still dominating on the kill department, and they now have to try to defend Bravo, and they are doing it from within, from the inside. There's Claw here, trying to defend, gets stunned, does not matter too much. There's his allies to help him out. Susano's still alive, only 5 lives left. The side of Wolves struggling like crazy. That's make it only 4. They are trying to do something, but Elevate seemed to have a really, really solid answer. I did not expect this at all.
Now this is dominant from Elevate.
Very.
15 lives left in the tank for Elevate at the end of map 1. It's 4 ticks to Wolves, which I imagine they'll be quite happy about, but it's that deficit there, you know, is going to sting and could be important if we hit that round 5. Elevate then on the attack. Chloe's going to play towards bed, does have the Tempest available to him. And the Annihilator's in play from PJ, and there's your first. And the boys clear the rest of the points. The ring belongs to you. PJ wants to go aggressive towards the spawn, finds one close, and another. Does not recognize that one's tucked into the corner, but the damage is done. The first tick is through, and you have so much map presence. Wolves having to dig themselves out of a hole.
Damage is done, the break is through, and Elevate are still pushing for more. There's Yappy with a Sparrow trying to push forward. There's Susano trying to hold, gets a kill before getting tracked. Now at a distance into the court. There, oh, there it is. 3 points there for Yappy, finds that kill into Sounds. Now there's a War Machine by Candy. They are just astigating them so deep from within. I'm actually quite surprised that they are not rooting to also capture the objective. But at the same time, when you have such a big lead, I guess you can pick and choose what you want to do.
Kenty goes huge with the War Machine in the back there, finds 3. Wolves down by 10 lives, which gives Yoppy license to push the backside and gets 2. And a third is slain with the Hunter-Killer here. And as such, Wolves are limping their way out of spawn, desperate for some mercy that is not going to be forthcoming. The Garena region squad are dominating in our control. Took the first round convincingly and have built off the back of the operators to give them a strong leg, I'd say, in round 2.
Who is this team? What is going on? Elevate doing so good here on Control Raid. Only Sounds and Psy remain alive. There's just so little they can do in this sort of situation. They do have all the operators on the side of Wolves. But why did they not use any of them? Of course, I would understand trying to save them for later, but later may not come soon enough.
I agree. Wolves are in a difficult spot here. And would an operator or two have turned that? Zai does well to turn around and find PJ. It also gets a second and a third, so at least makes it look pretty out here, but obviously forcing that fight because Elevate were trying to build up their own operators, happy to back off and let that generate. So it's 2-0 to Elevate, and dominating the respawns it is. You just mentioned it there yourself, Wolves, they do have everything available to them. Chain them correctly, you'll make this a very quick round, but if anything, you want to be efficient. You don't really want to use all 5.
Now, of course, you don't want to overlap them so much. There's going to be the first pop. There's going to be the War Machine by Sounds at a distance. He immediately tries to capture the objective. A Bread Missile will come from up above. War Machine still alive, though. Sounds pushing for more. Currently onto enemy's territory, finds a double, could get a triple, gets it like it's nothing. Then from up above, the Bread Missile could find 2, opts to wait, and for that, will cause him to only get a single kill. They're trying to knock him out with actually a lot of stun grenades. Still manages to survive, and for the first time, we will see a kill lead in favor of Wolves that at the same time transferred onto the capture of B.
Job done so far if you are Wolves on this attack round. Still 4 operators available. Annihilator going to be coming out next from Zai. The efficiency with these so far has been nothing short of exemplary. 2. PJ tries to play it close inside the smoke, but Zai does enough. Basically, Goober stomps him on the way through as well. Pei gets the kill. That leaves just Susano up, and not for very long. You're basically spawn trapped at this point, as Wolves have spread themselves into various locations. That means the game's desperate to put you somewhere, and anywhere will do, as Yoppy's dead next. Susano 2. Kendi will answer back with 2, and I think that's actually going to be a collateral in the feed. Very well done by him, but 21-9. I think for Elevate, this is just simply damage limitation. Get as many lives as you can, charge those operators, and think about the next round.
And I mean, yes, you gotta be thinking about the next round. I still find it amusing on the side of Wolves, because of course it at this point makes sense to save 3 operators, but that means that 3 players went a whole round without using an op, you know, which is mind-boggling to me. But at the end of the day, Wolves are making it work here.
They are. To be honest, their operator management might be their best route into this game. But you are looking to slow down this map here if you are Wolves. Just allow Clo to invest his Tempest for some, and PJ decides as well that he's going to bring his Annihilator to the party.
Wow.
So 12v5, 11v5. They've decided to go for this, have Elevate. It may be partly to do with the timer, only 30 seconds left on the clock. So it forces Wolves into a position where they've got to go for it. They probably feel like they have enough operators to make this happen now, but it's certainly an eggs in all in one basket type of situation. 10-4. Body does get onto the point. You want to get him off quickly, and they do. And that kill will force Wolves to now start to arrive. The player you've missed, however, potentially, is Sounds in through the backline. He could upset everything.
He can upset everything indeed. There's Candy with a knock. PJ and Candy do suffer a little bit, but with only 2 lives left, there's another
oh my god,
operator, and a triple kill now for Yoppy. All of a sudden it's a 2v4, and ladies and gentlemen, game is on. 4 seconds left. There's Wind with his own operator. That's the Sparrow by the hands of Wind. That's the shot by Sai. And that was a little bit too close for comfort on the side of Wolves.
It's interesting from Elevate. I think that they recognize, A, we could take this round, but B, let's try and get them to spend their operators a little bit that they have managed to get up. So they do a good job of essentially limiting how much they'd have to face in this next round. A War Machine is brought in on one side, a Death Machine on the other. Peg turns and gets nothing for the Death Machine. And we've already seen how good Kendi can be with this thing. Finds one up top window on Wind and starts to breach and clear over towards Laundry side. And, well, welcome to that part of the area. Get folded as Kendi pushes out through the back now. Holding off on the spawns. Tick starting to come through.
I think for Elevate here, you're not very far from guaranteeing yourself that defensive round in round 5. Little Wolves can do from that. And they're just looking to hold out over towards A.
Yes, they are. Peg with a knock onto Claw. B is going to be captured in a minute, will be added into the mix. Opportunity for Elevate to close this one up, but the Wolves, they trying to go for that round 5. It's still possible, pretty much doable. King, I feel like, has had his operator ready for the past 4 games, but refuses to use it. Like you mentioned, it is really important about the operator management, but at this point, by using it last round, he could have gotten another one by this point, which is even more hurtful. A double kill with a 100-killer drone there for Candy, and the damage begins to spread as the defense from Wolves is far from perfect.
Very far from perfect. We're going to see the investment of the Tempest from King. A couple Hunter Killers get launched into the mix as well. War Machine for Sounds. PJ plays close and makes the SMG work for him. Chased by the Hunter Killer, doesn't do much to him. And Wolves are obviously going to anchor up here, playing out of kitchen, just looking to control that, recognize how important window control would be. They actually have a player up in bed, so Elevate are going to have to clear that first if they want to set up this hit. 1:05, so you can start to pick away a little bit if you want, but sooner rather than later, you're going to have to just go.
They will have to. Right now, 15-12. Wolves with a slight lead, suffering a little bit, but doesn't matter too much. There's Yapi to help him out. Death Machine in the hands of Susano. 16 kills total, trying to look for some more. Only 42 seconds left. Begins to take some heat from behind. Turns around, tries to go for it. There's Sai trying to think about the defense of the objective. Gets the headshot onto Claw. Sai suffers from Yapi. 11-7. Kill lead still in favor of Wolves, but we've seen how quickly Elevate can change that.
Zai does find Susano, so you know that it's going to be all front facing. So if you find the player bottom bed, you don't. And you do now, but, well, that's done enough. 10-5, 15 seconds. You're just going to have to make moves. Clo finds one through back palms. That's 3 in the feed. But the kitchen is defended by King and Wind. That will allow Wolves to scramble towards the point. You do have bodies on, but it's going to feel slow progress. 10 seconds on there. The operator is invested. The Sparrow is here. You see the 2 players. Yoppy takes enough damage. It isolates the final fight for Susano, and he will not pull off an incredible clutch in a 1v3. So round 5 then, we'll head there, and it will be Elevate on defense. We kind of saw that a while ago, but Wolves have ground their way back into this game, largely through their operator management. They've done enough to get here.
That's right, round number 5. Now there's the opportunity for the 2 of them, but as we know, Elevate on the defense for round number 5. There's going to be the usage of both the War Machine and the Tempest. In the middle of the map, there's Claw with the Tempest, trying to find a few victims. Coming from behind, there's Candy at a distance side with a marksman shot. We'll take that kill onto Claw. The side of Wolves not really too sure as to where they want to go. They were trying to get the kills, but PJ say no, not in my watch. Gets a triple kill and then gets executed before he could actually capitalize on his own annihilator, and that because of Sai's tremendous job.
It was a standoff, and it came down to the quicker trigger finger, and Zai's answer was to make sure he came out on top and then takes complete control of the middle of the map. Will be killed by Kendi, but the B point is starting to move. Hunter Killer up over the top of it as well from the driveway. Should let you know where the next player is coming in from. Up by 6 lives as well. Elevate need to stabilize here. And another kill for Zai. He is taking over this map. 36 to himself. No one else is close to that number really on his team. He looks fantastic. But that's B, a minute on the clock, 1:40 to play for. 7 life advantage. For Elevate, it has to be perfect. For Wolves, you can chip away at this.
They have to. They have to chip away somehow. An 8-kill deficit is definitely not where Elevate wanted to be. War Machine being used by Sounds at a distance, trying to cause some chaos, some mayhem. Sounds with the knock onto Candy. Sounds with the double onto Susano. Sounds pushing forward for more, directly into the basketball court, trying to just scare them off while his allies continue to do the rest. The 10-kill gap begins to open up, and the side of Wolves are causing a lot of terror onto the hearts of Elevate.
King just looking to hand out information here. PJ's popped the Annihilator. Desperately wants someone to engage, and they shan't. Tempest is going to be brought out by King. And that does enough to find the Annihilator as well. So, in terms of operators, I don't think there's been a better example of perfect usage than what we've seen from Wolves in these last 3 rounds. And that sums it up, really. Win brings the Sparrow out through the back. PJ's just trying to flee for his life, begging for a semblance of protection from him. Doesn't find it. 3 dead. Predator tells you everything you need to know, and it will close us out here in map 3. Tested, bullied, battered through the first 2 rounds. But they came out swinging so well, and Yumi talked about it. Had 5 operators going into the 3rd. Decided instead to hold on to them. They'd done enough damage with the 1 to close out the round, and from there, systematically chipped away at what was left of Elevate's lead to then close it out like that. Incredible stuff, and a reminder of why they were once world champions and just how much they're bringing to the table to claim it back this year.
That's exactly what I was thinking. There's a reason why they are professionals, and in there you get to see the numbers on both sides. The one that stands out the most, and not for the right reasons, actually going to be King, but we'll just leave that aside because, well, the side of Wolves, I find it amusing the fact that we also saw them struggled for a bit when it came down to control against Nugent, but eventually, you know, turned it completely around. They were losing 2-0, and they eventually reverse sweep with a 3-2 in their favor. It's very odd to see them play that way, but hey, if it works, and it definitely did here for Wolves.
Yeah, I think it was just incredibly intelligent from Wolves. I think they recognized that Elevate had so much of the upper hand. And it was a case for them of, okay, well, we can come out swinging with everything in this and try and take away around, but they're focused so much on taking the whole map. This is, again, about road to redemption. This is about them taking the whole championship, not willing to give an inch, let alone a mile. So great stuff from them, showing true grit, determination, and just game management. Something that's so hard to do at the best of times, let alone 2-0 down against the squad that eliminated last year. They know the pressure. They know the eyes are on them.
Yeah, no, they definitely know what pressure is. They know what having a lot of eyeballs on you means. And well, in here we take a quick glance onto the players, the faces, the people in charge to show us the best performance that they can give us. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all are enjoying so far what we've seen, but this is far from over. We still had a lot ahead of us, and I'm super thrilled for us to begin. We're going to be moving on to a hard point, and it is once again going to be back on Slums. Let's be reminded, Elevate, really strong team when it comes down to hard point, really strong team to what they have shown to us on Slums. So if you were Wolves, what are you gonna do here different?
The interesting thing here for Elevate is that you've played a lot of hard point Slums through the year, and for a large portion of the year, it was your anchor, it was the banker, it was the one that you really liked. You were very good there. But Stalwart started to find ways to beat them. So I wonder if Wolves have watched enough of that tape to understand why. I also wonder just how confident Elevate feel on there when something is supposed to be your banger and suddenly you start losing. That starts to have doubts creep into the back of your mind. Absolutely. Are we the team we once thought we were? Have we been tested enough? The flip side to that equation, I guess, is going back to the conversation I mentioned before about Wolves. If you were tested at the right times in the year, that means you're ready to make the adjustments into the World Championships. Have Elevate done that? We're about to find out in Map 4. A banger of a series here in Stream B. We've got, of course, the defending champions against the team that are looking to reclaim their crown from 2023. Map 4, Elevate take this, they push us to a game 5. Wolves take it, they march onwards and send the Kings down into the lower bracket.
I hope you all are ready, because we are going to start map number 4, Hardpoint on Slums. Double kill to open up for Win. He's going to be overthrown there by Susano. Yoppy takes a kill and immediately moves, gets a kill and moves. That's exactly what he needs to be doing. His allies are going to try to defend. It's not going to be that easy, though, when there's so much action all over the place. A lot of hits being taken. Susano managing to stay alive, already finding himself 4 kills, which, to begin with, quite impressive.
It's not bad, that's for sure. And Sounds will recognize that actually wants to play out for this back P2 side. Gets bumped off the point, squeezes forward into Archers, not very far before Chloe and Kendi do their work. Susano with a Hunter-Killer as well means that you will actually reclaim. The spawns have flipped though. Wolves actually get themselves in for P2, and I think they instantly recognize that that's a gift from the gods as they back off, lay claim. It will be a great P1 for Elevate, but Wolves, well, you do get a split spawn all of a sudden come through, but you've got an opportunity to make up for everything here.
It didn't really pay off at the end because they eventually lost the spawns yet again. And that's something that Elevate has been able to do quite effectively. You know, they wait until the very perfect timing to actually try to go for the spawns. That's going to be a double for PJ. A lot of damage being done at a distance. His allies are going to finish them off. Is showing how much of a collective effort comes down from Elevate. Even from up above, there's a double kill with a Pred Missile. Claw is going to continue to be pushing. They're trying to get inside, but the Wolf pack are sweating, they're bleeding, and in here it is just not going their way as we approach the last 30 seconds of this hill.
Wolves struggling to stay in this, but it's actually them to seize control for a moment. PJ with the shotgun is going to play this close. At what point do Wolves decide to just invest and rotate away? Tempest is an interesting call, but PJ makes it work for him. And Shotgun will allow him to clear blue out as well. Wolves have given this up, decided to back off. The Hunter-Killer is supposed to provide the protection through mid. Well, PJ seizes mid by shooting Sounds in the back. That's going to give you a clean knot out. And actually, Wolves are going to spawn at P2 side, which is going to leave them very nervous about the fact that players are in through the backlines. You're going to focus on a double pivot. Susano has made it in through shop, and he will now just ensure that Wolves don't control a damn thing. It's clean across the map by the Garena team.
Insane to be doing something like that, making it look like effortless, but it's still going to show that Elevate know how to sneak around, what to do here, how to prevent Wolves from feeling comfortable. That's another double for Claw. He's so very used to situations like that. Gonna go for the next one, finds a quadrupiece now. It took him a minute to get there, but Claw now getting kill after kill after kill. There's PJ with a double. There's Susano with a death machine. That's a double. Try to make it a triple. Does not matter too much. On top of all of those operators, there was also a War Machine, an Equalizer, everything being popped pretty much at once. And after this hill is done, that was a near perfect hill in favor of Elevate.
I'd say Elevate have done a pretty good job of showing up shop on this map. There's a reason why it used to be their favorite, and it's the reason why Wolves are struggling here. 130 to 20 after just 3 hills. We'll move to shop. You do have one operator available in the Tempest for PJ. Predator Missile is going to be called in. Gives out all the intel, and then decides to rain hellfire into the spawn. Doesn't actually connect with anything, but it will be the War Machine and the Death Machine to try and counter from Wolves. 2 for Zai, 1 for Wind, 1 for Sounds, and another for Wind. So all 5 dead. You will get relatively close spawns if you Elevate, but it's a solid hold off the first wave.
And I mean, that's something, right? It took him a really long time to actually find themselves a little bit of comfort on the side of Wolves. But they're still struggling though. Look at Claw, trying to get inside, 14 kills already for himself, immediately bounces in, making sure that the opponents at least are not getting any further ahead. The Pred Missile is definitely going to hurt, but Elevate showing to us that even if they are not taking the points, they're trying to make sure that you don't either, you know? They're trying to maintain that advantage that at some point was of over 100 lead. This point in time has been reduced, but the power, the spree still feels to be slightly more favorable for Elevate.
Wolves have done pretty well here. 2 waves essentially batted away. It's by far the best passage of play that they've had in the tournament. Elevate will be aware of that, and you want to stem the bleeding. Wolves get a Predator Missile out of Peg, aware as well that they should get Archer's control. So a solid P1, or at least where you draw even into a decent P2, could be a route back in. Elevate needs to consider just how much momentum is building on the side of their adversaries. And PJ decides to bring out the Tempest to do just that.
Yes, I feel like that's the right call there for PJ. He tries to get inside of the hill, finds one, Goes for more. That's a double and a triple using that Tempest. Immediately pushed for more. That's a quadra piece. Insane. How many multi-kills can he get? And I can say the same thing about Peg here with the equalizer. Looking for more blood, more pain. Still not going to be enough to survive, but the damage is done and the rotation is good. It is good for the side of Wolves. Can they maintain it this time around though?
Yeah, claw back at a nearly 100-point deficit to 50 at this point. Elevate will get the scrap and then start to move forward in the following 8 seconds before the hill opens. Wolves are going to bring in the Predator missile to stop that push for the back spawns, and here comes the War Machine to ensure that you are well protected. A buffer of sorts. Every operator coming out. I think Wolves have decided to call this and run forward for the point. They know exactly what they need to do to make Elevate feel some pressure finally in this map. That being said, there are 3 available to Elevate, so it's where do you decide to get active? And here comes the Death Machine to ring out and drive this Elevate squad back.
Let's see. Sai with a good defense finds a double even though he was stunned. Manages to stay alive, gets a triple, gives the intel to his allies. 100-killer drone, that does not get to be used because of that nade. Well done by Elevate, but still not quite enough to actually break through this hill. Last time around, it took them for a surprise by the hands of Elevate onto the rotation from Wolves, but they fixed their mistake, and because of that, we saw it. There was a 100-point deficit, now it's under 20.
It has indeed been a great passage of play by Wolves into that, through that P2, and it's a great transition to P3. Far better than last time. It's almost a flip reversal of situations here. Kendi's trying to squeeze out of blue, get forward. What can you do? Find one. Backed up by another from Susano. King, though, refusing to give it up and sticking one down. Elevate here, though. They're going to start to call him in. Susano with the Death Machine begs the Wolves players to run forward. King does what stay alive as often as he does. Gets 2. Claw with 1. The equalizer is here as well. Out brings the Tempest as well. Elevates, recognize. Okay, Wolves are back in this fight. Let's show them what we've been saving.
That's right, let's show what we have in here. Let's see PJ now, once again with the Tempest, finds 1, finds 2, like it's nothing. He loves using that operator and he is just so lethal with it. Now patiently waiting for the next victim. There's still plenty of time left, 15 seconds on the hill, 180 plus in favor of Elevate. There's a few of the rain from above. That's PJ finding the kill onto Peg. The Sparrow being used by Yuppie as he begins to push forward for the next hill. The side of Wolves tried to be early and they're still gonna maintain some sort of control, but let's see for how long.
I don't mind the counter from Wolves. They decided to get the rotation in very early, give it up, and make sure they put their investment into the shop. Sounds with the War Machine. Just trying to control this back alley here, but got to be very wary of the fact his teammates are falling in the front. There will be also an equalizer in play. PJ's going to get the shotgun kill, though, to cut Peg down early and gets a triple. Goes huge around the point for his 38th kill of the game. How much of an impact he's having, how much that could turn the tide in this fight and decide it right here, because it felt like that was the one that Wolves had waited for. They really needed that P4 to happen, and instead they've now got to go back and break it, otherwise Elevate are basically there.
My goodness, can someone please verify that PJ is human? The way that he's been playing, he always is cool, calm and collected, and in here just helping the squad like crazy. There's yet another Tempest with a few extra shots that he will try to land, and he will clean once again the hill. It's only 5 seconds, but those 5 seconds of scrap time are going to be placing Elevate less than 20 seconds away from victory. Double kill for Claw using that 100-killer drone, and ladies and gentlemen, this could be leading us to our first map number 5, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's a few seconds left for Elevate.
Certainly is, and they'll bring in the Pred. Finds him a 3rd kill. Peg, though, is going to try and clear out through blue side, so PJ's got to turn and face, and that he certainly shall. And you just need 1 more second, and that is it. Elevate took a hold of that game at a point there and ran away with it. There was a semblance of resistance from Wolves. They had 2 or 3 good hills, that P1 into 2, locked it down, transitioned well into 3, but it felt like almost in the same sense as the control, where that operator management had come through things. You got that moment where Elevate went, that's all right, that's fine, that's pulled you back into the game, but we've got a whole heap of toys ready to bring to this party to close this out, and they do it in some style.
Yeah, they do it in style for real. At this point, I mean, it definitely shows that teams have managed to in a way, adapt to Elevate, but it's just far from being to the same level. As we take a quick glance onto the kills, 45 for PJ, 40 for Susano, 38 and 30 for Claw and Candy respectively. It is just impressive to see how they play. And well, I mean, in the past, it definitely felt like Elevate could make any team look clueless on hardpoint. This time around, like you mentioned, Wolves have an idea on what to execute as a plan, but to actually be able to maintain that control is the most difficult part against Elevate.
It is. Elevate are so relentless in these matchups. They're pacing so fast, but it's just their ability to, again, just make a call as a team as to what they want to execute. And you can see that they all bought into that. Those moments where it's, okay, they're all deciding to pull out their operators and chain them together in this moment. This is one of those situations where they've given it up early, or they want to play in through these back spawns. Every time it was, okay, all 5 players across the board know exactly where they want to be and how they want to play in that. So beautiful stuff from them, showing why they are the defending champions. It's fair to say their hardpoint looks pretty damn good.
Pretty solid. I mean, it's fair to the bare minimum to say something like that. It is quite a delight to see them play, and hope you all at home are taking notes, because, well, if you want to go to the top, you're gonna be able to defeat someone who's all the way at the very best as Elevate, because, well, at least for hardpoint, they have been unbeatable. We will be taking another glance onto what we've seen so far. Once again, hardpoints undisputed for Elevate. Search and Destroy and Control, you know, definitely Wolves has done a better job in that regards. And as we think about Tanisha Search and Destroy, do you think that's gonna be going once more in favor of Wolves? Are we gonna see them actually be able to defeat them?
So this was a map that for Wolves in that stage 2, where they looked off character, they just looked off kilter, quite frankly, compared to how they typically do. And that was one of their issues when it came to S&D. But again, is it a case of this is still a problem, or is it a case of you learned back then what you needed to know for now? If you've grown enough, you'll be able to fight Elevate here. Last time, to very little surprise here in COD M, it came down to the sniper battle. It came down to Zai turning it on and getting better as the game went on. He started to control and dictate. You slightly led in the first blood category because of that, and just about saw off the S&D. Will we get the same, or do Elevate have a couple of tricks up their sleeves in this one?
Not too sure, but I'm super excited to find out. Ladies and gentlemen, game number 5, the first game 5 that we see here on the B stream. It has been a blast to see these two face each other, the 2023 champions versus the 2024 champions. Ladies and gentlemen, these two are just in for a treat, and so far I'm loving it. But 40 seconds, no casualties just yet.
Slow and steady is so often the way for Elevate inside S&D, whether that be defense or offense. On that defensive side, they'll certainly grind this clock down as much as possible. It's a quick check and both players get a little bit of a look at each other, but Zai does enough to find Kendi. So then, that sends out the call. Wolves will start to flood the point, and it will be largely gold in the feed. Susano, the last alive, the only one that wasn't on the point, as it's white. Wolves get the bomb down, and as such, I mean, it doesn't even get that far. Zai pops out the bag, and that's an early statement made by him and exactly what he wants to bring throughout this entire search. What a shot that is.
It definitely was, and I mean, it took them over a minute to actually begin shooting at each other, in less than 15 to actually end up that round. As we now begin on round number 2, the one carrying the bomb is going to be Sounds. So let's keep an eye open for him, as he is actually quite close onto the A site. A side that's currently being defended by both PJ and Yuppie.
Kendi here. Trying to check a couple of different angles. While his teammates will likely hear footsteps off towards A. Great find on King. But it's Zai that controlled so much of the firing range. And it's him you're looking for in the following engagements. Already has 2 in this matchup. Sounds tucked into the cellars here. Potentially creeping his way around, but he does have the bomb. I think if you do want to make that kind of call, you don't want to be dropping the bomb in the process, so he's going to back off, rotate to his team.
Smart, smart. Definitely you do not want to expose yourself. You're the one carrying the bomb, and ooh, such a shot there for Peg. Annihilating Candy, denying that rotation from the player coming from Elevate. They have gone all the way around onto V. The one at a distance with a sniper, of course, is going to be Susano. But not going to stop the bomb plant. 45 seconds on the clock. And this is still a 4v4.
PJ arrives through the middle of the map. Can he spring a bit of a surprise? He needs his teammates to stay up to do that, and they're not. He is here, finds the first with the SMG, damage into the second, but traded instantly.
Just needed his boys to be alive for a bit longer. Can he then pop into the play just like that, but with more bodies around? But it doesn't happen. Wolves clean on the post plant. 2-0 up. The sniper in either corner watching over just meant that there wasn't much room to get through. And Elevate will be cut down.
Yeah, no, good effort. Good effort by PJ, but as you mentioned, it is just way too difficult when the boys are around. Sai gets an 8 kill, but immediately gets traded by Yoppie with a headshot. 4 each. PJ patiently waiting. No one's gonna say hi as yet. Peg with a knock onto Yoppie. Player lead going in favor of Wolves, but that quickly gets back to tie thanks to the hands of Susano. Bomb is down, and 45 seconds on the clock. The side of Elevate does have to lose a little bit of time to rotate there, so let's see how well they can adjust to this sort of defense coming down from Wolves.
You can see the Wolves are keeping their heads on the swivel. There's a lot to watch through this backside that they're concerned about. Elevate have decided that they do not want to get overcomplicated with it. They're just going to hit through the side of the site here. They check the right corner first. PJ will do enough damage as well and get the support to clean up the second. It's all on wind. You found the first, no more than that. Elevate with a perfect retake here. I like the call. They're not going to try and mix it. They're not going to try and collapse around it, which often can work. This is how we're going to snowball through the front. Wolves are going to be trying to check all these different angles, and we can get a couple of clean fights early.
They don't need to come through the window. All they got to do is use the door. If you're strong enough, if you're confident enough, you can make it work. And they did. They certainly did. They pick up their first round of the map. Final map, Search and Destroy. It's always so incredible to see. Oh, it's actually Candy who picks up the first blood here now onto Peg.
Tying us up at 2 apiece in the first blood column. And Kendi also sees one cross, but Zai's hit that jump shot twice now. Stop challenging him at that archway, say the Elevate fans. Wind slowly aggressing. Daxter decides better off. It feels a little bit cold feet.
Flash out!
King's flash, does it connect? It landed pretty close, and the fact that he turns back towards it, I think it's giving him the information that he needs, as Yoppie just about avoids another nade. So Wolves have 2 players actually onto the A site, but the bomb's nearer to B, but now it dropped back through their spawn. Wolves feel like they've cleared this enough. They know their intended target, and Elevate should recognize as well. There's been no noise towards B for a while. Let's get over towards A and try and stop this plan.
They have to try to stop it. 40 seconds left. But now as Sounds plants the bomb. Story may change a little bit here. A good nade does not really connect onto the player planting the bomb out of distance. Susano with a sniper shot onto Sai. That's a great opportunity for the side of Elevate to try to walk by, and that's exactly what they're doing. Joppy pushing in, gonna be taken down by the hands of King. King trying to defend, not gonna be possible. A 3-piece as a whole goes in favor of Elevate, and that's twice in a row that they've been able to super effectively counter whenever Wolves plants the bomb.
Very important kill there from Susano, who finds the snipe to open it up, not only in terms of the numbers, but it just opens up a portion of the map that your SMGs can push through, gets you the rest of the kills. Great work there. Tying it up to a piece, and the rollouts come through. It will be Zai to challenge mid, and he's had the lion's share of the kills in the sniper fights, has 5 already. The rest of the team are going to slow this down. Looks like a bit of movement through the cellars is this decision for Peg and Sounds. Can you do it without alerting Elevate to your presence? Kendi is here watching over, and a bullet just zips past, but you find the second, no problem. And Peg now isolated on the point. We'll get a little bit of support, but it's only going to suit Elevate. 3v2, but King's there, snipes in hand, 1v1, does enough, just about. And well, Trade City inside the point there. Elevate find themselves another round the board.
We had 10 people all of a sudden down to 1, and that one last player, luckily enough for Elevate, was one of their own. Unfortunately enough for Wolves, well, they've lost 3 rounds in a row now. We're moving on to round number 6. Last one before we flip spawns, double kill for Yuppie. Double overall for the side of Wolves to trade those out. They eliminated PJ and Claw, which are no joke, and can have a very, very good impact on the remaining of this round coming for Wolf.
Kendi slides across, saw nothing, but it will be quiet for Susano for some time. If the information comes through quickly enough here from Yoppie and Kendi, Susano could actually push through the Wolves spawn. Might give him a route in through the back if this plank comes through, which, well, currently you'd have a relatively free passage to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they certainly do. They certainly do. And I don't know if they have realized that. I think the only looking at a distance maybe Susano. But even then, still it's a very, very exposed area. And they know it on Wolves. They'll feel confident, they will plant the bomb. 3v3. And with the bomb down, what is Elevate going to answer?
Susano does start to get on his bike here, and he is going to play this in through the spawn. However, he's going to make quite a bit of noise. Does Peg hear him? He should do now. And the slide most certainly will give him away. So do you expect the window? The answer's no. Peg going to push forward. The SMG did plenty of damage. Does the shotgun do enough? Do you check the corner? You miss, and you just about get through the fight. That gives Sounds the opportunity to pop out for a 2-piece, and that will be all she wrote then for the Wolves attack, tying us up at 3 apiece.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying this game, this back and forward, this strategy constantly changing, being aggressive, being defensive, just not allowing the opponent to have an easy time, and it has not been easy for either of these two teams at this point. They just know one another so well. They are now being aggressive once again. There's going to be a 2-for-1 trade going in favor of Wolves. At a distance, there's going to be a few shots, and it's Joppy who takes the knock onto Sai. It is Kendi who gets the kill onto Sounds, and all of a sudden, it's now a 3v2, but it's the other way around. It's actually an advantage in favor of Wolves, and barely Kendi missing that shot, but King is not gonna miss.
His wind coming and shuts him down. And a very different attack strategy to anything we saw from the Wolves. Wolves are very patient, very slow about things, recognize how Elevate play. Elevate say, to hell with this, we're throwing everything at the bomb site and find the kills quickly. However, we've seen this from them before. It's a very all or nothing play, can be shut down, and Wolves are great at making adaptations. That's what we've seen through this series. Kendi, he's got himself a little bit of a wallbang spot there. It's going to return nothing. And Peg's actually going to find PJ to kick us off.
Yes, he does. That shotgun has been so deadly today. It's not near to being over, but unfortunately is for at least this round. For at least this round, he'll have to sit back and wait to see what his teammates can do for the remaining out of it. That early pick can be crucial for Wolves, but at the same time, Elevate does not give up easy. Has not done so at any point this tournament. Right now with this 5v4, once again, a lot of calm. A lot of just patiently waiting, trying to go for a pick. They're not going to be able to get anyone just yet, but it goes along to prove that these two are taking it very seriously.
Certainly are. Susano, that's insane. That's COD timing at its finest. Sees one cross, sights up, waits for the play to peek back out, and just as they move, de-scopes. King gets away with one. Also returns a bullet. Will hit nothing. 40 seconds left. Elevate have got to figure out an ingress here, and they will play B. Unfortunately, that's to a shotgun of Peg tucked in the corner, and he squeezes up to get a second. That's Kendi. Chloe also fell through that passage. And Peg slays Susano to make it 4 in the round. Either way, had himself an insane pop off there. It's just controlling that because he's so good in those little tucked in corners, those little positions. The rest of the Wolves defense can prioritize the opposite side of the map. They know that man can handle his own. Should they need to get there, he's at least going to pick himself up a trade, and he does even better than that there.
Which is even crazier, you know, like having that much trust in one of your teammates is super, super crucial, and for good reason. You know, he is very good at holding those interactions against the opponents, or at least making them back out. There is PJ back at it again, this time eliminating Peg with a shotgun to the face. It's gonna be ugly in here as Candy gets the knock on to win. They immediately take the opportunity, plant that bomb, and that's a 5v3. Elevate now doing a lot of pressure over on B side, paying off so far. 2 kills and pushing in for more. That's a perfect way to go around this area. And with only 30 seconds, it's gonna be quite difficult for the Wolves. And they're gone.
PJ takes control with the shotgun to put you at 5-4. Because Elevate just showing different signs of themselves every time. Keep Wolves on their toes. We're going to be aggressive 1 minute, then we're going to try and slow it down. Aggressive the next. Wolves never know what's coming here. Trying to play some sort of blind counter at the very best. We'll give them the driving seat. 2 away from marching on in the playoff bracket. Kendi checks out. Saw grenades backed off. And Wolves have done enough to have Elevate reconsider their early aggression. Yoppie is over towards the B side here. There is 1 body for Wolves on there as well. But with 90 seconds still to go, Elevate wasting no time. They've instantly decided to regroup over towards that B site, and they're going to start to squeeze.
Good trade there, but, well, PJ got a kill. Sounds got a double, but got knocked out by Yoppie. Trade after trade after trade. I feel like at least 80% of the rounds have been like that. A kill, then the next one. A kill, then the next one. Candy got a knock onto the side. That's a 3 versus 2. 40 seconds on the clock. Out of distance, Candy with the shot onto King. Looks for the double. Misses the first shot, but they have a clear idea of where he's at. There's 3 people in, and it is Candy once again who does it. 6-4. And ladies and gentlemen, this could be match point for the side of Elevate.
It most certainly could. Draw your breath now if you're an Elevate fan. For Wolves, it's just about staying in the fight. For Elevate, potentially an early statement made in this playoff bracket. The defending champions for very good reason. Candy will peer through the middle. This is a far more passive rollout from Elevate than usual. You are starting to make moves through the middle. And again, just something different. We've spoken about their deep playbook multiple times. So many shades. Candy will want that one back. 2 players up on that balcony. You put the bullet basically between them. But the gunfight's there, and the way in which the Wolves players left should have told you that there's going to be a lack of numbers towards B, and they decide to squeeze. And that's going to give PJ the backside, and Sounds lands right in his lap. There's the first to open us up then. 1 minute and 10. You will get the answer back from Peg. Klo finds the trade. So 4v3. Bomb starting to go down. Trophy on top of him. 44 seconds on the Wolves' upper lifeline.
That's right, 4v3. King is going to be executed, but Sai immediately answers by eliminating PJ. That's going to be a 3v2. Only 35 seconds on the clock. Important still the maximum now into the sides of Wolf. An insane shot into
oh my God.
And a double for Sai. All of a sudden, the only one alive is going to be Claw. Claw trying to defend. Sai has to work along with Wind, doing a little bit of damage. They can peek out, get the kill. Wind is going to defend himself. The time is running low. He's trying to bait him out. No, he's not baiting. He's defusing. He's committing, but he's not gonna be able to do it. He's not gonna defuse. He's gonna get the kill. Elevate have done it again, ladies and gentlemen. Garena are here to stay, to prove a statement, to continue to go for that back-to-back championship, and you can see it on Wolves' faces that they feel crushed. So close, yet so far. Elevate are just so good at this.
Could not be more conflicting emotions across that stage. The celebrations that ripple out there are loud and proud from the Garena team. You said it yourself, crushed is the correct term for Wolves. Heads in hands. despite everything that they've done to close that gap over this last 12 months, despite the growth, the improvements, everything that they've done to counter the countless hours of off-screen battles, VOD reviews, doubts, everything they've pushed aside, come into this tournament as everybody's favourites, you still face the same fate, a 3-2 loss to Elevate, led by none other than PJ. Don't know how many times we have to say that man's name. The MVP of this series, and so far, from what we've seen, the evidence we've had, the tournament.
We've been talking about him, like you mentioned, all weekend long, and this is just PJ to the maximum. This search and destroy was impressive for the entirety of Elevate. Wolves did such a good job, but they are not there yet, and that's gotta be feeling like the worst. Like you mentioned, you are trying, you're training, you're doing as best as you can, but not being able to capitalize at the very end is something that gotta hurt. It gotta hurt like crazy. And I'm genuinely intrigued as to what are we to expect for the remaining of the tournament for Wolves. But at the same time, who out there could be capable of defeating Elevate at this point? I don't know.
It's a very good question. They walked through yesterday, proving that the crown is indeed not heavy. Today it's seeing off what was supposed to be their greatest adversaries. And you know what's an amazing thing to hear from? One of the players who's just beaten their greatest foes. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got ourselves an interview down on the main stage.
I'm with PJ from Elevate Puck. My dude, you just sent your biggest competition to the lowest bracket. How did you guys do it?
I honestly didn't know how we did it, but it was a very close fight, and I'm happy that we won, so I wish them good luck.
What do you think right now? This is going to be a hard question. What is the game mode that you guys need to improve on the most? Because it looks like that control, you could have won it. You dropped the ball, man. Like, what happened over there?
I honestly don't know what happened, but we'll review it later. So I think we'll work on how to close the game properly, and especially our hard points. We'll try to adapt more.
Yeah, there's a lot of adapting that needs to happen, and now you're up in the brackets. And I was talking to Coach Alea a while ago, and he said that you guys were kind of struggling when it comes to the pacing of that control matchup. But how was that S&D like? Because it looks like you found your footing, especially when Candy was snapping on those sniper kills.
Sorry?
So when it comes to like that search and destroy, Candy finally found his footing because it was back and forth, right, in that Tunisia game. But when you finally found that footing, how did you guys secure that search and destroy? Because the pressure might have been so massive on your shoulders.
We're already used to the pressure. I really don't think that pressure is something I'm afraid. Instead, I think like I'll be the pressure instead to the enemy.
Adding that salt to the wound. Congratulations, my guy. You're moving on upper in the bracket. And back to you, casters, in the casting desk.
A wonderful interview there with PJ. I mean, you listened into that with me. What are you taking away from that? I mean, it's always humble out of these guys, but in terms of mindset, in terms of looking forward to the rest of the tournament, anything there that's kind of giving you a gleaning about how you feel about Elevate?
I mean, he definitely is humble, but at the same time, he's always rubbing that confidence onto them. Like, I'm not afraid of you. Like, you can try as best as you can. We're still in here to win it all. He's that guy. He's that confident. And how not to be that confident when you back to back prove to be the better team?
Yeah, well, you saw the celebrations on the main stage, and it will get them the movement through the bracket. Of course, they will advance on through this tournament. And we get confirmation coming up on our screen as Elevate sit and wait for the victors of Q9 or Stalwart Esports. Down towards the bottom, confirmation that Wolves will wait on New Gen Ninjas v OUG. And Galleries, we've already spoken about, of course. They will face the loser of Q9 and Stalwart. So plenty still to come here in Poland. But coming back to what you were saying about the interview, we saw the celebrations, and no doubt for Elevate, they'd heard a lot of the conversations. That gap's closed, we're under pressure, we're under threat. So for all the humbleness, for all the gentle confidence that seems to come out of them, no doubt there was many doubts on their side as well. They understood just how important that Wolves series was.
Yeah, they did. They certainly did. And at the end of the day, Apparently they don't care about the pressure, they care about the enemy's pressure, how much they can get into their faces and be like, yeah, of course we feel the pressure, but how about you? How are you feeling? And I feel like that was the key part for Elevate.
Certainly was, and they dealt with the pressure just fine, stood tall, march on. So much more to deal with here on Stream B. Stream A still got the rest of today and tomorrow out here in Poland to settle the World Championships. But before we get to all of that, after what was a grueler of a series, ladies and gentlemen, go and take 5. We're headed to a quick break.
Round alive here, desperation, you can really smell it through the screen, and it's just not going to happen. Yeah, good round for Q9. Again, they just completely shut Stalwart out. I don't think Stalwart even had one real good look at either of those control zones. We saw one investment coming out with the Annihilator, and that was almost immediately countered by the Death Machine from Q9. So Q9, really good ops in that round, very good control on the map. One more round, they take a lead.
Elevate winning their game over on Stream B 3-2. And this one is shaping up to potentially be something along those lines as well. Into the 4th round. That's where we are now. Link starting to get something going here on the attacking side. Trying to be the tip of the spear, if anything, for Q9. And they're working on a push over towards A. They've got bodies inside of the point. STE are not in a great position to counter that. And this could be a point going over towards Q9 and that time being extended.
Q9 not jumping on the point of the bodies just yet. Stalwart going to try and approach some kind of Zimmer spawn trap, and it looks like that's the case right now. You've got a couple of players in it as well, and here comes a spawn trap. You're in the blender.
There's only 2 of them here. And another player is actually going to drop back to try and help out, but Jai is going to take down Mauchi on the point. So 4 players now from Q9 have been forced to back up, but then actually because of the push that they've come through, that player's drop back, they get the spawns over towards the A side. So players have got a free route over towards it. They may well just go and try and extend the time, but you've got to be careful of the lives.
Yeah, you don't necessarily need to take these players out. You just needed to do what they just tried to do, which is push them out of the AC unit so they do get that closer spawn towards the pool. That's why Skirt's repositioning here is big for a Q9. Of course, flip side of that situation, Q9 are now going to capture A because Stalwart was so intent on that spawn trap. Now they're going to abandon that one, just move it across, let sure we defend B.
Yeah, Q9 really got funneled down that side of the map and said, yeah, bet, cool, we'll take A. But as you can see, the disparity is the lives. It's not unfathomable that, of course, Q9 can bring this one back. It's only a 7-life difference, and they did get a hold of A, and they have time to work on B. But ST kind of get what they want out of that spawn trap. Operators kind of on their way for Q9. A couple available on the side of STE. I'm sure they'd like to not invest them, but they may well have to if Q9 can find a break.
That's good first blood coming out from Mauchi that opens the door a little bit here for Q9 with 60 seconds on the clock. This is an immediate reposition coming up from Q9 as well. Hey, we've knocked at the door around the front. Now let's go around the back.
Oh, you may well have caught them through the middle of the map. Reef will find one. ST being very, very patient, but as are Q9, but Q9 are the ones who have to make the move, and ST are quite happy to wait for them to come to them. Giant and Kodo, can they actually combine to do anything here? Giant Reef can answer back. Mount Chi, he was able to find a kill, but they get taken down, and they come into the Lion's Den. STE holding this one down. Jai will fall, but gets out lane. There's 3 with the War Machine, and that may well be the round. 19 versus 9.
Yeah, that might well be the worthy sacrifice here. It is the life differential that is so daunting. 25 seconds. All Q9 can do now is just turn the tide in their favor by way of tick progression. You got to get on the point.
Skird's really tagged up here as well, but Lane can't find him. Skird can find 3 on minimal health and get away. Cloud should be able to pick this one up, but Skird continues to survive. Eventually, he'll get rid, and now the battle lines are being drawn a little bit further up for Q9. 5 seconds, you've got to find the push. Mauchi can find 2. Onto the point they go. 5 versus 12, but this is doable. They need to find 1 wave of kills, and this point will go very, very quickly. 5 versus 11, investment coming in from Q9, but as is from STE, Q9 still a chance to do this.
Yeah, the Death Machine is gone. Now the Annihilator out as well. You can still do this, but now players on the point. Stalwart, they're trying to defend it down to the last 3.
3 versus 7, 2 versus 7. It becomes a little bit more difficult, but Mauchi, the Annihilator is out. A player slides by, a player takes down his teammate. We're left now in a 1 versus 4. There's 3 from Mauchi. Does he find the 4th Mauchi? 1 versus 3, 1 second to go. Contestation comes through, and the Annihilator player may well have given him a chance, but it's a difficult one to pull off. He finds another, and Scared will be there. Oh my word, Mauchi.
He had the Predator missile in his back pocket. I thought for a second he was going to get around the corner. The Predator missile was going to come down. The Hunter Killer drone was in the air ton.
Oh, my giddy aunt.
Mauchi was a moment away from pulling off one of the most insane plays ever. And oh, Q9 open up this round with an explosion. Stalwart, get out of your spawn, kids.
Oh, they're really going to struggle to do that now. Owling, the defensive side goes over towards Q9. Defense has won every single round out of the 4 that we've seen. That extra tick, I believe it was over towards A that they got a hold of, and then the tick over towards B would have made the difference. Maybe even the tick that you managed to get towards the end of your Mauchi might have helped as well. D-Chen now, War Machine out, STE gone. 26 versus 19. That life advantage for Q9 right out of the gate is a substantial one.
It's the same situation as before, right? It just feels like Q9 are more assertive in their defense, that STE never really get much of a chance at either of the points, but now maybe they will. War Machine doesn't amount to that much, now they've got to go, but it's just towards the blender.
It's hard to find a way through. It's a horrible little head glitch to try and get around. And Cloud's on his way through the middle of the back map as well. And the Odin out. And the Odin firing bullets in every single direction. Clove actually going to find a couple there though, and then maybe able to get something going. Curly, yeah, cleans it up, as they so often do. 20 versus 10, SC are seemingly desperate. And why wouldn't you be with these lives, this disadvantage that you now have? They can't even get a touch, they won't even get a tick unless they can produce an absolute miracle. Q9 forced that round number 5 to go all the way and then body STE on it. 3-2 Q9, 2-1 Q9. They find themselves in the lead in this series again. And when it comes to the crunch, they just seem to find a way. It may well have been a tight control, but really, was it?
I mean, I think, yeah, that is one of the more misleading 3-2 scorelines, right? Sometimes you get those, right? We always talk about the misleading 3-0s. It's like, well, yeah, it was a 3-0, but also yeah, all the maps were close, all the rounds were close. Sometimes we get those. Yeah, that was a misleading 3-2, you have to feel, because I think, you know, every single time that we saw Q9 on the defense, they were dominable. I mean, it really were. And you know what's funny, actually, is you brought it up as we got into the final round. Well, maybe if Stalwart had a tick or two, they might have got defense to round number 5. Cast your mind back to round number 1, right, where we had that 9 versus 1, and we saw, I believe it was, I don't know who it was, to be fair, in the 1 versus 9, desperately trying to stop Q9 from charging to the operators by playing that cat and mouse game with all 5 players. Well, if that player had jumped straight on towards A instead and forced Q9 to try and stop him, that would have been a tick. Like, I don't think Q9 would have immediately tried to go for that kill. They probably would have allowed a tick or 2 through. So yeah, small decisions like that can come back to bite you in the end, although hindsight is perfect, or whatever the phrase is. I don't know.
A wonderful thing.
A wonderful thing, that's the one. Regardless, STE, I think, you know, just again, not able to get out of their spawn when they're on their offenses. Q9 really know how to drill the screws in.
I mean, this was nearly one of the best players of all time, dude, in Call of Duty Mobile. Just like every direction, bang, 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 bang. 4 different kills with the Annihilator comes through in the blink of an eye. Mauchi nearly pulled off one of the Call of Duty Mobile moments, and it would have been a place to do it. But a 2-1 lead now for Q9, and heading into a hard point, they find themselves with the lead. This one really still could go either way, though, and like, I think the thing is here now for Q9, they know they've at least, at worst, got Tunisia to go to for a map number 5, but they've got a Combine to get through beforehand. Stalwart will feel confident on that Combine, but they need to make sure they got the job done, and then they need to try and bring their...
I'm Viper from Team Godlike, and I'm playing for New Gen Ninjas in this World Cup. So there were some unfortunate situations, so our players couldn't manage to be here. So both the teams' players merged into one team to represent our country, India. It means a lot for me because I'm playing this game for quite a long time, and I really wanted to represent my country like once in international stage. It's my dream. The competition in the community is very nice. Our fans are very loving in India, and there is a huge audience for COD Mobile in India. We are like a whole new different team, and we have multiple ideas. So if we merge them and if it works, then it will be really great. If I'm in the finals, I'm not thinking of anything. I will just go all in. I don't care whoever is my opponent. I'm just gonna play my own game.
Words there from Viper, of course, of the New Gen Ninjas. We've gotten to see plenty of him over this week. He's been superb, couple of clutches, many big plays, incredible stories and stat lines. The fact that his first World Championship is insane. Young man coming out and doing things like that on this stage bodes well for his future.
For you to be the very first one, absolutely does. It means a lot to him, I'm sure. And he's not even done, you know. He has only begun to show us what he's made of and has been doing super, super good. We saw a lot of him yesterday. and we eventually will get to see more, and I'm thrilled. You know, I'm thrilled because this team, this last-minute team, has definitely done a really, really good job.
Well, we're certainly going to get to see a lot more, and it's going to be real bloody soon because we've got the new gen ninjas to talk about in this one. It's going to be Warden and Viper coming in again with Marvel, Fran, and Jez. You called them Team Last Minute there for very good reason. We talked about this. How would they work coming together as a 5? It looks like, if anything, they complement each other really, really well.
They do. It's a way for the Soul players to join Godlike and do the best off of both worlds. They were rivals, but right now they seem like they've been partners forever, you know? They are capitalizing on each other's strengths to make sure that they are being as effective as possible when it comes down to being aggressive, to being defensive. Whatever needs to be done, they managed to secure it, and it's quite impressive coming down from two different worlds. Of course, they know one another, but they never worked together like this before.
Yeah, I mean, they do look great out there. It's one of those weird situations. I sat talking to Marvel last night in the hotel lobby saying about how good they look, and he was kind of like, while the situation wasn't ideal, if he had to pick 2 players to come and join his 3, those 2 would have been those because it complemented them so well.
Absolutely.
So the silver linings, you got to make it work. This is the World Championships, baby. We're writing history here. You've got to lay it all out on the table, and they're certainly doing that. They've been impressive. Of course, Marvel himself will understand making it work. Previous world champion, after all. But these boys are going to have to figure their way through this playoff bracket. Now they get knocked into the lower. They have an opponent in OUG. And they're not too shabby either. We've had a good look at them. This is, of course, Tectonic, Wrath, Solo, Kings, and Cartels. This is a team that shouldn't have been here, but they've replaced one of the squads that were unable to make it, unfortunately. And we're dubbing it the miracle run that they would have to make. It becomes even more of a miracle run when you consider that they're going to be in lower round 1. If they're going to get themselves to that grand finals, they're going to have a whole gauntlet to overcome.
Yeah, if they want to keep the dream alive, there's no more second chances. We talked about no more second chances for New Gen. Like you mentioned, exactly the same thing here for OUG. This team that maybe we're not fully aware of what was going on, but the second they had the opportunity to just fight on stage 5, they took it, and they are trying to go as far as they can. Look at that beautiful logo in the shirt of Solo. It's been so nice to see them, but it's also at the same time unfortunate. You know, they are already on the lower bracket. They're still alive, but they are pending on a single last opportunity for themselves.
100%. They've run out of 8 of their lives, just the 1 left. And these Mad Cats will have to figure it out across that stage. It's a situation for OUG, though, where they've shown us that they have plenty of pace, especially from behind Kings and Cartels. Will that look good for them in this map set? Let's find out. You're looking for the kind of places where you can take advantage of those really high quality SMGs. We're going to start at Summit here in map 1. We haven't had the opportunity to cast this so far this weekend. Looking forward to jumping into that. Then we're in Tunisia. Then we're going to Raid. If we get there, of course, Apocalypse for 4, Standoff for 5. We've seen both of these teams play. We know the strengths, we know the weaknesses. What's jumping out to you?
By just looking at these maps, genuinely, I wouldn't be surprised if we go to a Game 5 again. I feel like Summit is going to be a really strong point here for the side of New Gen. I feel like Tunisia is going to be quite a map for OUG. Control a bit of a toss-up, genuinely. I'm not too sure about that one, but Apocalypse is another map that OUG are very good at. I talked about the control over on Takeoff, and they shredded their opponents. When it comes down to hardpoint on Apocalypse, although it's not as good as it used to be, it definitely is one of the biggest strengths when it comes down to OUG. Once again, like I mentioned, I wouldn't be surprised if we go to a Game 5 again.
Well, you're dubbing it, and that means we're probably getting there because your calls have been pretty spot on through this week. The New Gen Ninjas versus OUG in lower round 1. You fall out here. It's been a great year for you to get to this point, to get to take part, but it will be top 8. You move on, you guarantee yourself at least top 6. factoring in so many things, whether it be the prize pool, whether it be pure pride, whether it be pride for your region. So much on the line here in Poland. And let's get started then. Summit to move us on through today. Fran's going to get aggressive with the machine pistol in hand, looking to use that movement speed to get close and personal, because in his back pocket he's got a shotgun, and there's two to line things up immediately. The problem for him, everyone else dies. OUG will seize a hold of the point early.
The action, of course, is gonna come in early here on Hardpoint. Everybody rushing all over the place, trying to figure something out. This first kill, as chaotic as I love it to be in here for Summit. As you mentioned, particularly this map we had not gotten a chance to see, but not ourselves. I do believe that a few of these teams have played it throughout this last day and today. So I am happy to see an action for the shotguns. I genuinely love the shotguns. I know how incredible difficulty it can be to play against them, but at the same time, from an outside perspective, I love to see it.
It's one of the beautiful things about COD Mobile. The sandbox is so open. Players can dictate what they like to their will, and it certainly factors into playstyles and tactics. You mentioned something there about the fact that we haven't seen much of it here on B Stream in terms of the map. I did get the opportunity to check out how New Gen Ninjas looked on it. It was pretty damn good. They were eventually beaten out, but they put up one hell of a fight. So this is a team that's going to feel relatively comfortable here. It's just about shutting out OUG, and early on that's not happening as Kings finds himself 11 to kick it off. An insane start, really, and also now has the Sparrow as he continues to rack up the kills.
What is going on? Finds another kill. There's even more score streaks coming down from Tectonic. I would love to get his point of view, because at this point, what is OG doing? That's an insane start. Now we're moving on to the second half of this, the hill number 2, but I feel like they've been doing such a good job. You were talking about the 16 now kills coming down from Kings. There's 11 for Tech, and there's plenty more for the remaining of the players. The side of New Gen definitely getting heavily outslayed on point 1 and 2, and the rotation is gonna be there already for the side of New Gen, trying for the side of OUG, which is very bad news for New Gen.
At the point Kings hit 16 kills, there was only 21 across the entirety of New Gen Ninjas. That says just how dominant this man is right now. That being said, Cartel's not one to be outdone for very long. Will put the tempers to great effect. Jez finds his way in through the upper, and actually it's 3 clean kills for New Gen Ninjas, but they've got to do more than that if they're going to break in through the front of this hill. 10 seconds in, it will be a knock on the door that Tectonic sends away. Sparrow now brought out by Jez, but the Death Machine and the War Machine have done enough to continue to hold the point. You will approach 75. Viper's Tempest, we've seen it multiple times this week, and he's been brilliant with it. We'll find 2 players spawning and running immediately into the lightning. And Warden up close with a shotgun will now start to contest this point.
Yeah. 75 points in here for OUG. They had a great control, but finally New Gen Ninjas are going to be able to break through the barriers of the opponents. Now Marvel trying to defend from the inside of it, has the possibility of the Death Machine, but with so little time, there's very few chances of him using it right now. Now, rotation. Once again, the side of OUG tries to do it early, but there's already 2 players coming down from New Gen right down the middle. The first one is going to be executed. The next one, there is Marvel, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's Fran. Fran is going to open the opportunity for New Gen. Although OUG were there first, they have managed to break through, and that's great news for the New Gen Ninjas.
Great plays there in the back for sure. Cartels was looking to hold on to those spawns, and they overwhelmed him, cleared it out. The thing is, not for long, because Kings is here, the man that's taken over so many of the scenarios so far, looking to do the exact same, and that's Fran, the last stand in the spawn side. So New Gen Ninjas will again have to start to hit from the front. No operators to play with here. It's just going to have to be purely on gun skill. And that's not something that Kings has lacked so far, as he finds himself an angle on the railing. Warden with the shotgun's going to be paused, and Fran, well, hoping that anyone's going to push through this front door. You've done enough to break in. Can you hold?
Can you, though? That's the biggest question. Right now, approaching the 100-point mark inside of the hill. Actually, now on the outskirts of it, there's going to be Cartels currently trying to hold on to no, and that's going to be done to perfection. Now, from behind, they were trying to surprise them, but they quickly managed to take care of business on the side of OUG. A great start on Hardpoint, and I'm actually quite surprised about what's going on the side of New Gen. I was expecting a whole lot more from them, and a big portion of it I could relay on to Warden, you know. Warden so far has had 11 kills, and I was expecting a whole lot more, specifically on Summit, you know, such a lot of corridors, a lot of areas where Shotgun can shine, but in here has not happened just yet.
Certainly hasn't, but there's still time for him to turn it around. Viper was leading the way for his team in terms of getting himself into this point, but Raf's doing enough here with the claw, just cleverly bouncing off various surfaces, essentially shredding anything that dares step through the doorway. At Warden, you asked for more, he finds a kill to try and punch in. We'll be backed down though by Tectonic, Fran with 2 for himself. But OUG just continuing to eke this out, and the scary thing for New Gen Ninjas, this is a P1, this is in the middle of the map. This should be a back and forth regardless of who's on top really when it comes to kills, but such is OUG's dominance that they've walked themselves into a 90-point lead.
I mean, it's becoming really problematic how much of a spree each player on the side of OUG is getting. The reason why I mentioned something being unfortunate is Raf was actually on an 8-kill spree. He was dominating with the shotgun inside of the hill. We've been recently seeing him with a KRM and has been doing a lot of damage right now. OG nearly tripling the amount of points their opponents have. That's a triple kill with a Sparrow, make it a quadra now. Has the bread missile from up above, could be getting a kill or two. Let's see if he does. There's the trophy, so that's not gonna happen. He gets executed, but it does not matter. The damage is done. The control is there. Solo from up above will try to get in. Now there's a war machine from Tectonic, and it almost feels like OUG constantly has something to use and get themselves ahead of the opponents.
I certainly do, and we see 4 kills come up in the feed. 2 of them are from a Predator missile, one's from the Hunter Killer. OUG with all the arsenal in the world to deal with this threat in front of them. And I say threat, considering how good the New Gen Ninjas have been through this tournament, this is a bit of a whimper from them. Gotta find some sort of spine in this, a foothold, and Cartel's at the front door with the Tempest, won't give them it. 2, you do get that return from Marvel at the very least. Great shots with the XM4 down the corridor. 3 in a row for him, and unfortunately Fran takes himself out with the war machine. So it's just trying to knock on the front door. You're going to bring out your death machine, but it just does nothing. Raf's so damn good there. Shots 3 out of the doorway, and New Gen Ninjas don't get what they wanted from that investment.
Who is the star on OUG? The real answer is everybody. Everybody's doing a phenomenal job so far in here with the rotation, with the kills, with the gunfights, with the operators. Everything in between has been outstanding. Just completely out of this world. Already over 200 points and rooting for more. Double kill for Cartels. They're solo with a shotgun. Missed the first shot, takes out the secondary just like nothing. That's yet another kill to complete the destruction of the opponents. New Gen finally get inside, but surprise, surprise. There's only 10 seconds left, and OG have already rotated onto the next hill.
King's like a turret out there on the gondola. Every time a New Gen Ninja player straight forward, they found the end of his rifle. Solo's going to just tuck himself in close with the shotgun and go to work up high. One player slips past, but not for very long before he gets cut down. New Gen Ninjas are struggling. Marvel tries to do his best out on the cliffs, but it won't last for long. Solo now with his death machine finds 2 and pressures the 3rd in the back. Recognizes there's a reposition, will be done with. You only need 22 seconds if you're OUG, and if anything, it feels like they could have ended this a while ago. They're happy to get off this point and go and find more kills because this is so bloody comfortable. Viper finds one while on his belly, does very well to be quite honest with you, and will get you a couple more seconds of contest, but that is all you're going to really rip from this. OUG, they can't win it here on this hill, but they're not far.
They are definitely not far in here. 15 seconds left. He goes outside for a second. He gets executed. Does not matter a whole lot. OUG are dominating. New Gen Ninjas have not even reached 100 points in this game. And they may not if they continue to struggle like they have. There's going to be the usage of Tempest by the hands of Cartels from the outskirts of that cage, just patiently waiting for anybody to dare go his way. And there's the knock onto Marvel. There's the control for AOG. 10 seconds away from the victory. They're trying to go through connector, but they're just not able to survive. That's another kill with the operator. Only a few seconds away, and inside of the hill they're stuck with a war machine that's not even needed because OOG are just like that going to be defeating New Gen Ninjas. OOG have made it so strong in this map of Summit. that completely changes what I thought we could see from this accumulation of maps, because this looks now awful for the New Gen Ninjas.
Well, as I said, I did get a look at New Gen on Summit previously, and they looked good there. Ran really close
Right?
against one of the best teams at this tournament. OUG
47
said,
to 20.
OUG said to hell with that. 47 to 20, 48 to 23. Tectonic and Kings taking over the show. It's weird to look at Raf at 41 and 22 and just be like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever, dude. You're the third best player on your team. It's a stunning stat line, not one you're going to see very often. On the opposite side, I mean, this is a very good team, and the numbers that they're looking at there will be alien to them. OUG, we know the pace that they bring, the prowess that they have in attacking things and hitting it over and over again. It wasn't just that either here. It wasn't as if they were having to break consistently. Very strong defensive holds, great operator investment as well. Felt like they were all on a wavelength. They know the task in front of them.
Yeah, and well, as much as I'm surprised, it almost at the same time makes sense, you know. This is, of course, OG. I've talked about how much they can slay down opponents, and that's exactly what we saw. I mean, there was a near 2.3 KD for Tech and over 2.0 for Kings. They were just doing so consistent damage. Those gunfights were so clean, and I would argue that the game even took longer than it should have. Why? Because they were so focused on the kills that they would get themselves out of the hill in order to get them. They do get it, and that's like 2-3 extra seconds that if you accumulate, they could have finished this even in a hill earlier than what they did.
No, most certainly. It did seem like moments. It was just like, okay, I'm going to go find some bodies to put up here because I'm having a great time. Well, flowing so well out here. But that ends then the hard point, and we know that that is a strength of OUG. We look to the S&D. Now, on the evidence we've had so far, this is where OUG have struggled a little bit. It hasn't been their best showing. That being said, the New Gen Ninjas, they're having to make up systems on the fly. Now, talking to Marvel again last night, he was like, we just keep it simple. We stick to the roles that we've assigned each other to, and we just go about very simple executes, find that numbers advantage, and then take that with us into the bomb position. As such, you're not expecting a deep playbook from New Gen, but also OUG weren't supposed to be here, so you didn't have much in the way of practice. So this could be two very raw looks at these squads coming into S&D.
That's a really good point. The fact that neither of them are having what they thought was going to happen. OG was thinking nothing is going to happen whatsoever. We're not going to be playing here, but they are. And all of a sudden, New Gen Ninjas have to join forces, double kill with a nade there for Jess to open up the floodgate. That's incredibly unfortunate for the side of OUG, and I feel like OUG, one of those teams that definitely hates grenades, specifically Tech. I don't know if you guys remember a couple of years ago when the team of Luminosity ended up with a single grenade killing 4 of their teammates. It is now Cartel taking revenge about what happened earlier, which is going to be marvelous as they have already planted the bomb as well. But I feel like nades have taken a spotlight very brightly in today's matchups.
They certainly have in this round. Perfectly placed out of Cartels to catch players trying to get to this bomb site. And it's one of the things that lends to the geography of Tunisia. It's a lot of corridors, a lot of tight alleyways. And Viper, he's begging for someone to show a face, and they do at the angle that he's not looking at. He's going to back up, try and bait Kings in, and, well, probably wishes he'd stayed in his scope, and for all that, you get nothing. Kings picks it up, 1-up, and New Gen Ninjas will be surprised that they ended up in that position, considering you get that double off of Jez with the nade early. It's just that perfect read by Cartels. We got the bomb down, we know they're going to be reinforcing this site through. I'm going to pop a cook nade into that spot, finds a 2-piece, and hands it over.
Really good plan, you know, really well thought of, and it works really great in favor of OG. That was 3 kills in favor of Cartels. Let's remember, he is a natural slayer. He likes to go forward, and I'm never surprised when he does. Right there, Marvel gets a knock, but reveals his positioning. That's something that Raf takes advantage of, takes that kill using that shotgun. They know now where the bomb is on the side of New Gen, but does it matter? We'll see. Raf has picked up a sniper from the ground, and with that, he took that kill onto Viper.
Oh, certainly did. Jez gets the hit marker through the wall. The plaster does enough to spare your opponent's life, but that's about all. And, well, it very quickly turns into a 1v3 here.
That's 4 for Raf.
As Fran pauses, has a shotgun. So if anyone does squeeze through, you've done enough. But Kings, well, stops his teammate getting the A's, won't really care because that puts you 2-0 up. It's looked very straightforward so far, getting themselves onto those bomb sites quickly, getting the bomb down and forcing the equation onto NewGen.
And just like you predicted it, you know, you talked to Marvel, they had to come up with simple strategies, and that's exactly what they're doing. You're choosing a place to go, and they do. OG, I can say the exact same thing, but the gun skill is definitely being way, way more favorable for the side of OG. As we now begin round number 3, what is there to change for the NewGen Ninjas? They do take a kill, but they immediately drop 2 players. They're trying to recollect themselves, but immediately they take the opportunity to plant the bomb, and all of a sudden, all the pressure on the shoulders of NewGen yet again.
Jez tries to creep forward, doesn't get away with it. Kings spots him. Raf gets the assist onto Fran. Solo was with the finish. Marvel with a sexy one to get a body back on the board, but a 1v3 trying to ingress to a planted bomb. Yeah, that's how it's going to end. Kings does enough for it to become 3-0. I think the concerning thing here for NewGen Ninjas is just how simple it's been. There's been no point through this matchup, except for maybe the opening nade by Jez, where I've thought these guys are in control of this. OUG walking their way through this map.
That's horrible. If you compare it to any other Search and Destroy we've watched, the rounds are way, way faster right now. The average is less than a minute, which is wild to me. And look at that, first blood already in favor of OG, none other than Raf, who collects now 5 kills. And on top of it all, bomb is gonna be planted. Bomb is gonna be planted, and that's a 5v4.
You're gonna try and find different ways in here. Cook nade, does it get anything? It actually manages to be 1 kill from Viper in the end onto Kings. He finds a second as well, returned by 2. You'll have to slay a few more if you're going to get to this bomb, and you've got about 15 seconds to do so. Raf's having himself a game for sure. And Viper, you have nothing to work with. A 1v3, this feels like every other round we've tuned into so far. My feeling here, obviously I've got very little in terms of watching OUG playing S&D on Tunisia. But what I'm seeing here is that I think they recognize NewGen Ninjas don't really have a strat in terms of defending these or in terms of retaking these, recognizing that it is a simple strategy, and they're happy to play into it.
Yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, if you know that their strategy is just not there, and you know that you have a better gun game when it comes down to one-on-ones, why not go ahead and do the simple thing? Plant the bomb and go ahead. Right now, they lost 2 players, but the immediate takeback is by Kings eliminating Viper. Then they're solo suffering the shotgun play there from Fran. I like the way this is playing out for NewGen Ninjas, but at the same time, it's that simpleness that's hurting them the most. OG, like you mentioned, have struggled on Tanisha, but if this does not play as an S&D, because pretty much it's a team deathmatch, you know, they can freely walk, plant the bomb, put pressure on the timer onto the shoulders of NewGen Ninjas, and then go for the fights. That's pretty much what's been happening, and that's the reason why we currently have a 4-0. There's a player lead in favor of NewGen Ninjas, but they also had it on round 1, and they didn't play their way.
Very true. But it will be that OUG find themselves to an unprotected bomb site. I think NewGen Ninjas are happy for that, to be honest. We've got the numbers advantage. You plant, it allows us to force the fight. And actually, OUG is cycling back. Fran spots one, tags him up with a shotgun. And that will suddenly send OUG with their tail between their legs towards B. Marvel's watching this backside, and you should understand by now that plant is going to come through. So watch these 4 hours swarm now. The thing is, with such a heavy numbers advantage as well, you can hit this from different angles quite comfortably. I like OUG's approach, just both sit backside and hope you do enough to pick up whoever this is going to be here in terms of Jez and Co. But actually 3 of them have just decided to run through this backside. And what can you do to stand against them? Kings with 1, Cartels with the other. Cartels taps away with the Odin, does enough. Can you find the third? No, Jez gets 2. Great work up close with the VMP. And we'll get there in time to defuse. Thought for a second they'd pulled it off, a 2v4. Great work from OUG, but NewGen Ninjas stacking those 3 bodies through the back enough in the end. And it's a good thing they did. I thought they were going to go for the big wide wrap from all the angles.
Thank God they didn't. They nearly lost that.
They nearly lost that. That's the biggest issue. That's the biggest thing. The fact that NewGen with a 4v2, they're still not comfortable. They're still not used to these sort of scenarios. It's tough. It is definitely tough for the side of NewGen Ninjas. One final round before we flip sides. This has been OG on the offense. So once they change onto defense, I feel like it's going to be even more aggression coming down from OG, who already have first blood, already get second, and now that's going to be the third one. All of a sudden, it's only Viper and Gordon. And with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this is looking fairly fancy for the side of OG.
Warden catch Kings coming in, but Cartels instantly trades. Viper caught with the boxing gloves out. Done many amazing things. I don't think we expect him to clutch that though. 5-1 in favor of OUG. And it's hard at the minute to see how NewGen Ninjas build into this. It's been so simple for their opponents. And OUG will largely reinforce A off the rollout. You will get one body over towards B, but the nade should tell you there's actually nothing going to be there, and you get the hit marker, but Viper picks up a blood onto Cartels, something you feel is sorely needed to get things going if a comeback will mount.
Let's see now. Marvel took a lot of damage, but still managed to survive, which is very, very important for the side of NewGen. There is the fact that Jess is holding the bomb right now, but they're taking their time. It only makes sense, right? We saw them struggle like crazy on the first initial 6 rounds, so they need to do the best they can in here to make sure they're not losing players. They still have their strength to be looking at every single angle possible, but all of a sudden there's Tech, who finally joins the party, joins the fun, takes a double, gets executed, does not matter. Viper to the ground thanks to the hands of Kings. There's the retake now by Fran, but immediately Kings cause some more pain, and all of a sudden this is a 1v1.
Raf actually sees Jez cross there, but does he recognize it's a reposition? I think so. Shotgun in hand. Is Jez expecting this? There's a sniper on the deck here. I think Raf's read this beautifully, but has Jez as well, and no! Does get a tap of bullet in, but not enough to find the final blow. The HS will be the preferred weapon of choice and the correct tool for the job. I mean, a great read by Jez, but you're just not winning up that close.
Can't believe it. Honestly, can't believe it. I mean, it makes sense, right? It makes sense for these two teams to be playing out the way that it is, because neither of the two have the best strategy or plan. They're just brute forcing into one another, and we've already saw it on map number 1 that it was OG who was outslaying constantly, and that's exactly what they're doing here. Kings already got the first blood. There's only 4 people alive on the side of NewGen. There's a headshot now for Tectonic, and once again, this is looking amazing for OG.
That it is. This has been brilliance from them. 3 bodies on A, 2 towards B. And it will be another kill A side, and there goes Warden as well. All on Jez to figure it out in a 1v5. Finds the first. Raf gets a little bit too eager to end the round. And of course the map. And Jez. Actually, it looks like Cartels and Kings have gone for a cuddle, which is really nice. That's lovely. But Jez being offered nothing, and unfortunately it will soon be everything because all the 4 bodies are on this A point. That's the second. And that will be that. It looks nice in the end, I guess, that Jez manages to pick up 2 more, but realistically OUG having some fun with it as they rack that up 7-1. Simple. Is how we've been describing it.
Yes, no other word, right? Plain and simple. It was just a genuine clash in the middle of the map, and there was that. Maybe there was a bomb plan, maybe there was a few nade kills, but it was just a clash in the middle of the map. It was just that. There was no more to that. And, I mean, very good for OG, but at the same time, NewGen Ninjas are now losing 2 0 Kings. Once again, he was jealous of King from Wolves getting a 12-4. He goes ahead and does the same thing, 12-4. Then, of course, you have a 10-3, 8-4, 5-4. Maybe tech, maybe negative, but he's always the player to carry the bomb and plant it. That's why he has such impact in the game. They all had a role, they stick to it, and they played it to perfection.
Yeah, I think with Tectonic as well, it was a case of, boys, let me kill something. I think he was on 0 kills by like round 6 or something.
Yes.
So he's like, can I get involved in this? Anyone else want to carry this thing around? It's a great job from OUG. They look great. And tuning in with the play cams there, you can tell that the vibes are good. All the way through this week, we've kind of sat around the players and stuff and all characters on that team. They'll be loving life right now, up 2-0, looking great about it. And I think reassuring themselves that they belong in this room, even if they didn't initially qualify. It's purely because of the quality of the region that they were coming out of. It's a tough task for sure, and yet they'll be standing atop many a team and atop many of the bodies of the New Gen Ninjas currently. For the New Gen Ninjas, it is a difficult situation coming into this tournament, quite frankly, it is. And while Marvel spoke very highly of the players that he's playing alongside in this godlike S8UL team, it's still one of those, you don't have systems. Hardpoint, I think anyone in Call of Duty understands that very well. That's second nature. S&D and Control, you need strategy. And unfortunately for these guys, that playbook is going to be about 1 page thin.
Yeah, and that's even worse. Like you mentioned, it already showed that it is not necessarily that much about strategy. It's more about raw gun skill. And as we move it onto a Control with a 2-0 lead, I was hoping, I thought that we could get onto a game 5, but because the side of OG won map 1, that completely changed the outcome. And I feel like without that hardpoint win for the side of New Gen Ninjas, it was all downhill for them.
Yeah, it has been tough. It has been very tough. But this could be your final map at the World Championships. It could be your final map of the year. So why not put it all out there?
Absolutely.
Leave it all on the table. And if your New Gen Ninjas come out swinging, remind everybody just how good you are. Viper, talked about here as one of the best SMG players in the world. That's through your peers. That's through world champions. Come on, show us, remind us exactly of the quality that you have. For OUG, it's simply looking to rinse and repeat what has been a simple series thus far. And Viper will move forward with the Type 63 through the middle of the map. Cut down, however, and it's a bit of a do-si-do around the pillars, and what the hell was that? Comes out in the end in favor of pretty much no one as the trades come through instantly. King's going to push forward and holding on to mid, very important on raid. We've discussed this earlier, and you can see just how much as the bodies line up.
And I mean, as simple as it is, I would say that it looks the best we've had so far, because it's usually just OG overwhelming New Ninjas immediately. That did not happen this time around, which on its own, it's good for the New Gen. Now let's see how well they can do to capitalize on this situation. They actually do have a very small kill lead indeed that, you know, if I was them, I would take, and at the same time, they are using it right now to capture Bravo. They are immediately capitalizing on those kills, and OG is like, fine, take it. I don't care. I'm just gonna defend defend A. And apparently that's what they're gonna stick to.
Yeah, one of those tactical decisions that comes through sometimes. When do you pick the pace up? When do you slow it down? Will OUG decide that they're going to slow down, hand the extra minute to New Gen Ninjas, and instead prioritize position and gunfight condition? You get all that presence in mid. Kings is going to lose out to Marvel, who's pulled the sniper from the back rock there. But again, I think a lot of this control right now that New Gen Ninjas are getting, OUG should be concerned. They're making great ingress, and they're actually on the point.
They are, and that could be an issue. There's a single player though, but let's see for how long he can maintain his health up. That's gonna be Jess. Jess trying to survive, 100 killer drone to the face by Tectonic, and that takes care of that problem. Now Fran is trying to redeem his ally, doing a lot of damage, but not quite finding a kill now. 10 for 10 on each side. Great way to begin. Also Solo, what's going on with Solo and no kills throughout the entirety of the round?
Yeah, it's interesting, but we will give him a moment to try and recover. We've still got a little bit of finishing here to do. 4v9. New Gen Ninjas have been brilliant here. Viper's actually decided to bring out the Tempest. Let's find an attack round They know they can do this right here. They're going to dive the point to force the fight, to drag it in front of Viper's Tempest, and you don't even really need to do that. The kills go your way, 1v9. Kings, well, he's a talented player, but not that good. Jez does enough to close that out. Brilliant work from New Gen Ninjas then. It felt like from the very get-go they were in control of the control, cleaning up quickly around the ring and then dove that point. I'll give a lot of props to Marvel. He did a great job from that backside of pool, just under bed, of covering over his boy's approach.
Absolutely, absolutely. They were working together to make sure that those on the inside did not struggle like crazy. They were making sure that they either got the kill or got the information to his allies to make sure that they are capitalizing on the situation. They immediately captured, they immediately converted those kills, and they are immediately rooting for the kills now, yet again. Double kill now with the Pred missile from up above by Viper. Now, they're trying to capture over on B by the hands of OG. They have managed to go through the middle of the map, but let's see how good that works, because Fran is going all the way around through the pool and into enemy spawn right now.
We did ask for a hell of a lot from Viper, by the way, and he has 16 kills this early. No one else in the lobby is remotely close.
Solo has one, he's close.
Viper's decided that this is not the end of his tournament for sure. Annihilator brought out, Predator also, Equalizer as well for Warden. New Gen Ninjas recognizing that with these early operators, what they can do is very quickly turn this into a 2-0. More of that situation of just compounding the effects of leading early in control.
It is wild to me that it is actually control, the one that New Gen is dominating, doubling the amount of health on the opposite end. 30 seconds left, they're trying to go towards Alpha, and well, they're gonna be able to do so, seems like, but for how long? That's the biggest question. They have a few utilities that they could use, but they're on offense. Is that gonna be worth it?
That's a great question. Only OUG can answer for you. And they usually find the kill on towards the stairwell, so 2 ticks will line up. And for New Gen Ninjas, do you just give this up? It certainly seems that they're prioritizing ringside. I think Fran's still itching a little bit for the fight, and there is pressure slowly starting to come across the map. But it feels more like a defensive cordon than anything else. New Gen Ninjas, they'll give it, and they'll tell OUG to run at them with what they've got left of their lives.
Right now, 16-8. Kings with a knock, trying to push forward for more. There's Raf, trying to make it happen with a VMP. Shot landed by Tech. They continue to push. Annihilator gonna be taken out for a ride. Misses the first shot, misses the second. His allies all drop to the ground, and so does Kings. All of a sudden, it's only Solo against the world, and he gets brutally murdered by none other than Warden. I'd like to point out, I feel like OG are getting stomped on in a sense.
It's a weird series, right? We've just watched OUG run amok and have the time of their lives.
Exactly.
Enough time for a cuddle as well in the middle of the S&D. So the fact that you were 2-0 so comfortably, and then when New Gen Ninjas apparently just love Raid, doesn't matter the composition of their team. All 5 players love it here. Sparrow from Jez will find Kings. And he will make more progress. Viper's brought the Tempest to the kitchen as well. And the Predator missile finds Kings as well. God bless him. I think he's been on the end of like 4 streaks in his last 4 lives. But he's making good progress here. 1 tick on the board. And for OUG right now, I think he's trying to find position. Cartels has found his way into the kitchen. I think he's a little bit surprised by that. And honestly, the timing goes against him a little bit with Viper, who will try and hug the window. Got to keep an eye on the wheelbarrow as well. So on the spin, can you do enough? Well, the answer is no. Tectonic with 2 to break New Gen Ninjas' backs for a moment. But 2 ticks came in. You'll be happy with the early work.
You should be, you should be. They've been doing a great job so far in here. Right now, the live's slightly closer, which is, in a sense, good for OG, but let's see for how long they can actually manage to keep it up to that same level at a distance. Well, the ARs, the marksmen are taking a lot of an important role in here. Look at the headshot by Viper. Someone said SMG. Look at him rock that Type 6-3. Amazing job done there from his room. Now all of a sudden they're gonna capture Alpha. Last time around it was B, this time is A, and with that in consideration, what is OG going to do about that? They are tied to the neck. What is next?
Well, for New Gen Ninjas right now, it's just about getting out spawn and breaking through a couple of waves. You do have one player who's advanced all the way up towards Pool in Jez, but he's hoping for the rest of his boys to get there. The problem for Jez, I think he's looking to fight for mid-map control to relieve that pressure. He may well walk between two different players, not helped by the fact that Raf finds Warden. So OUG with a certain amount of resistance here, and as they continue to hold, they continue to delay, this just burns through the new gen time. Minute 5 left.
Minute and 5 left in here. Ooh, tech exploding to the ground. Fran suffering the pain from Kings. A lot of back and forth kills, and all of a sudden, there's 12-9, slight lead in favor of OG. That's exactly what they were looking for, but it took them a very, very long while to actually be there. But it's still not a comfortable spot to be at. There's Kings finding his kill number 16 of this game. Inside of the hill, there's going to be Viper once again at a distance. Marvel and Jez are both going to be using an operator, which is wild to me, but at the same time, it seems like they want to close this one up. Can they do it, though? 5v5, double for Marvel. There's Garden helping out with the equalizer. They want to finish it off, but the side of OG are trying to remain alive. 3 versus 2 at a distance. There's Jez just spraying with the Sparrow. There's a nade kill for Fran. There's a weapon kill for Fran again, but this is still a 2 versus 2. Is not quite over yet. Tech has an operator, but he refuses to use it, and I certainly understand why.
I think you gotta try and hold on to it, I guess, for later, but you gotta get there first. 2v2, Fran's gonna take the top of the ring. You move forward, that first ticks in. A little bit of damage actually for Fran. I think that the War Machine did hurt, and Jez finds King, so it's all on Tectonic then. 1v2, and he wasn't the player with the operator. He's going to invest what's left of his, and that will be that. New Gen Ninjas walked their way to a victory here in the control. Certainly wasn't on my bingo card, considering we walked in and it was flat out there. You could feel that they'd been walked through very easily in those first 2 maps. Barely a word between them. Apparently they don't need to discuss strategy. They're just going to go out there and slaughter everything in front of them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was incredible to see. You were commenting on it, the fact that they just came from an atrocious, and I mean very, very bad, let's be honest, with all due respect, New Gen. They lost control completely on Search and Destroy, but they regained it back on Control, funny enough, which is wild to me. Very well-deserved victory, and it is now them with the crazy numbers. Look at Jez, look at Viper, the 2 definite roles for the MVP slot are those 2. It was insane to see them just pop every head that they had in their way.
It certainly is. Viper started so strong as well. Big part of why the team were rolling through the early stages with such comfort. Jez, he was consistently solid all the way throughout. The other 3, well, the kills aren't going to be that high because they just weren't needed to be.
I mean, yeah, 25 kills. Between the 2 of them was like nearly, what, 40, 45? Between the 2 of them on 3 rounds.
Incredible performance from the pair of them, and it will push this series ever further. We will have more showings from the 10 players on our board, and honestly, it's nice to see Viper have that moment as well. I think he's had such a good tournament. It would have been a shame to see him be eliminated in a quiet 3-0 fashion. So the fact that he gets to take over in a map that's crucial to his squad is exactly what we want to see. And I know it's exactly what the fans from the Indian region want to see as well. And if you're a fan of Call of Duty Mobile, you just want more opportunities to tune in with it. And you're going to get that because we've got a map 4, an Apocalypse. Now, the last time you and me cast an Apocalypse, it was a little bit exciting.
It was. It definitely was. I mean, if you're talking about exciting, talk to me about a 250, 249.
It was indeed, and it had one of these teams in it. So for New Gen Ninjas, it doesn't matter how the victory comes. If you have to do it the same way and age a couple of years inside one map, you'll do it. It doesn't matter. But the difference here, of course, is the OUG team that you're up against. Very good at hardpoint, and we saw that in map 1. They were dominant. How do New Gen Ninjas counter that? We've talked about their lack of ability to come up with strategy into this, but completely with circumstances out of their control. Who is it, or what is it that they've got to do here to push it to that map 5?
I mean, I feel like, of course, with the very few times that you have in your hands, you can try to strategize as best as you can. But this map in particular, I didn't feel like the side of New Gen was lost. Like in comparison to the S&D and Tanisha, where they would just let's just walk and see what happens. Yesterday when they were playing that game 250-249, I felt like they were rotating, they were properly using the operators, they were properly making sure that Viper was getting inside of their faces, using the Tempest to break through a lot of really tight spots. So I feel like if they manage to secure that type of scenarios against OG, there's still hope for them in here.
Certainly is. Marvel gets off to a start where he dies straight away to, well, himself essentially. It's going to be the pinstripe feeds, the back and forths that are traditional here in P1. P2 will be Temple side, so squads are going to be instantly thinking of that and trying to hold or maybe hit a flank as we see Tectonic get on his bike. And he's actually going to find his way in through the back and does get in. Great work from him early, very heads up. Frando's going to push himself into Chicken Coop and give his players a bit more of a protection buffer, but it's not going to do much for long because the rest of the team are here. And OUG will take hold.
Good amount of kills on both sides, so I'll give it a both. Round of applause for Nujen to at least not suffer what happened last time around, which, like I mentioned, is good. I was talking about the fact that OG is fairly good when it comes down to hardpoint apocalypse, but what we saw yesterday from Nujen, it also showed a lot of good promise from them. So as we now begin to move on to the next hill, the first one to get there could be the side of Nujen. Actually, no. Actually, Jess is going to be executed, and the first inside will be Cartels, who try to push for more. He gets taken down, but his allies are going to be getting the initial hold.
Certainly shall. Jez trying to play close with the VMP. He's contested. The smoke just making it difficult to clear out your opponents, but up and over the top is the answer for some of this OUG roster. Solo gets himself in, and well, it's messy, and he doesn't actually find the kill in the end. It's Warden who does enough. Cartels with the instant trade. Tectonic looks to turn and face, but Jez with the Sparrow will clear him off and push forward. And I like that decision because it means you've just got players running into the end of your SMG. 4 in a row there for the young man. Tectonic manages to do enough to stop him, but well, he says, I'm not to be outdone, finds to be by himself.
All right, the back and forth fight, I like it, love to see it. We were expecting something similar to what we saw yesterday. So far, we're getting it. 39 to 45 points. Slight advantage going in favor of the third Chinese team who's trying to remain alive. Of course, we have already seen how Wolves unfortunately dropped to the loser bracket. Q9, in case you have been missing it, has been doing not so bad themselves, but in here, OG is still trying to keep the region afloat. They have been so dominant in the past, and they are trying to continue to assert that control over the rest of the world. As we proceed onto the last 40 seconds of this hill, OG has a solid control.
I certainly do, or at least did. 3 kills. The Nujen Ninjas will give them space on the map. Marvel's Death Machine will help them punch a hole in what was supposed to be a defensive hole. Great adjustment to read the player up high. Tectonic's going to do his best to line the point. Won't do much. Equalizer now from Warden, looking to chain, but does not find purchase. Cartels with 2, Solo with his own double, and you break straight back in for OUG.
That's right. 83 points now for OG. And pretty much everybody with the same amount of kills on the side of OG, as per usual, just outslaying the opponents inside of the hill. It seems like it's going to be Tectonic. That OVJ role is going to be in charge of an fan favorite for the longest time, which is Tectonic. He's so charismatic, and well, in here he was trying to hold the control. Unfortunately enough, it was rather taken away very abruptly by the hands of Nujen. Now the usage of Fran's War Machine will complicate it even further. Luckily enough, there was the help of the side of OG to take care of it, but not only the War Machine, now the Sparrow, and that's a Quadra, just exploding them all up. Try to go for tech. Still, does not matter if you die as long as your teammate is still alive inside of the hill. And for at least 20 seconds, that was the case for Nujen.
Well, this has been a better passage for Nujen. Tectonic will do his best to stop that as he finds 3 in the feed and 4 in a row. Raf then answers in. Tectonic's still going. Someone stop this man. He's having himself a performance. 22 kills to lead the lobby alongside Jez. And to be fair, it does feel like a war between those 2 players right now. For Jez, it's a case of not wanting his tournament to be over. For Tectonic, it's wanting to sweep aside this problem in front of him. But there is going to be a solid lead here for OUG as we look to our second rotation. They've been the better side in the early stages. There is resistance from New Gen Ninjas, but you feel like you're looking to see a little bit more out of players like Viper, who currently only has 10. Fran also on 10. Warden on 11. They've got to step those numbers up if they're going to stay alive.
That's right. They are making sure that they're not losing complete control, but at the same time, they need to start regaining that confidence needed to actually close that gap. Tempest in the hands of Viper will take one, goes for two, but immediately executed by Cartels, and that's the type of issues that are having a huge impact against New Gen. The value off of the operators has just not been as great as they would have liked to. Of course, Marvel with the Dead Machine has done quite a job with it, but at the same time, it's just not been enough. It's not been enough. They're constantly trying to keep up with OG, and if it continues to be that way, and if it happens to snowball again in favor of OG, that could be the end of the road for New Gen.
Certainly could. Viper tucks himself inside the cave, takes his time. It looks like it's going to be a temple hit with the Death Machine for OUG. Very clear what they want there. Looking for the spawns at the backside of P2. There's a Sparrow in action as well for Kings. He's looking to swat away anyone who's playing in through the front and has the angle actually over the top onto the point. Unfortunately, doesn't connect with anything, and, well, Marvel doesn't get what he wants out of his Death Machine. Raf's going to try and bring his claw to the party, and it's just swatting down these players in front, cutting them down as they sprint forward. You got to look in through the gap here towards the cave. Can you do enough? You can just bounce it off the wall, turn this into a shredder. And for OUG, you continue to hold over a 50-point lead incoming, and we're marching ever closer to that 200-point marker, and OUG do not seem to be threatened by this New Gen Ninjas roster at all.
That's right, the closest that New Gen Ninjas try to get, the further away OG seems to be getting, and in here is starting to sting as if they were just bitten by something that cannot just let go. They are constantly hostigating the opponents, making sure that they don't feel comfortable, that they don't know what to do to a certain extent. It's been really well executed so far for the side of OG, and this advantage could go even deeper if they continue to play this way. You can see Kings in here barely getting inside, so goes back in, turns around. There's a double for Warden. Warden trying to get through. There's gonna be tag. No, a triple, a quadra now using that equalizer, immediately pushing for more, make it a fifth, going for more. Pain allows the team to actually move forward, and with the help of the War Machine, that certainly can bring in a few super good seconds that New Gen need, but it only lasts for a few seconds.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's tough to watch because the equalizer drove your line forward so much, pushed OUG back so far. You're thinking, okay, well, my boys can at least get 10-15 seconds out of this, and once I spawn back in, I should be able to join the party. You spawn in, you see that you've lost it instantly. Cartels will find the kill with the Tempest. Hunter Killer as well going to be sent in the direction of Warden. He doesn't have to deal with it as it hits the house that he's stood in, but you don't survive for very long either way. OUG stroll over that 200-point mark. The next hill's going to pop. There's actually a flip out on the spawns. So New Gen Ninjas have themselves a pinch set up. Can OUG read this? Well, the answer is no. Solo returns 2 kills by himself. Raph does enough. And to be honest, that should have been an opportunity for New Gen to wipe you from the board. But Solo's gone huge inside and has the Death Machine as a reward to continue to turn up the pain on the Indian roster.
Oh my goodness. Pray and pray, baby. Look at all them shots in here now. On top of it, well, there was the usage of the Sparrow by Kings. There's the War Machine by Tech, the Pred Missile by Solo, the pain unfolding into the hearts of New Gen, who continue to fall further and further behind. Of course, there's Vipers, there's the Tempest, there's the break, but there's only 20 seconds left, and the disadvantage was of nearly 100 points. They're finally trying to once again regain some sort of control, but can they do it though? They need it. They have to be flawless in order to survive, to manage to take us to Game 5.
Certainly got to throw everything at this. Your last stand in this tournament. Will OUG deliver the killing blow? Well, for gunfights like that from Warden, will do a good job of going towards, but then it's all gold in the feed, and OUG have so much room now. You won't get that body into P1, But the fact that you've been closing it out here just means NewGen have to constantly scramble. There isn't a strategy to this. It is put your body on the line and hope for the very best. Death Machine finds 1. That's 2 from Marvel. Do you read the players pushing out of Temple side? You find 3 and then 4, but we'll cut down after that. Warden tries to dive in now. You've got 30 seconds left on this, but it's sticking around here for as long as possible and then bouncing up for P2, which is the side OUG currently have control of.
And ladies and gentlemen, only 14 seconds are needed for the side of OG. NewGen have to be perfect. Equalizer in the hands of Warden. Warden pushing forward. Gonna take 1, gonna go for 2. Pushing for more. Not gonna be possible. Gets taken down. His allies are still alive. 10 seconds left in this heal. That's not gonna be enough time for OG. And they're not even close to it. They're beginning to rotate to the next area. And the one in charge to try to prevent it is gonna be Marvel. Marvel trying to do his thing. Not gonna be possible. Cartels with the usage of the Tempest is gonna be more than enough. The point about to start. Turns around. Tries to defend himself. He cannot do it. Now the War Machine is going to be in the hands of Fran, who takes the knock onto Tectonic. They have to be perfect. They're trying to sit inside, and they're managing to stay alive, but for how long? Only 10 seconds are needed now for OG.
They'll spawn close if you are the NewGen Ninjas, so OUG will have to hit them once again. Sparrow goes to great work. Jez will return fire with 2 of his own, but Tectonic's War Machine does enough to finish the job. OUG march on 3-1 victors on the day. Their hard points look phenomenal, quite frankly. Every single player across that team feels like they've had their moments to shine. King's, of course, going to be one of the players we talk a hell of a lot about, but Tectonic in that last map, so damn good. It's relatively comfortable in the end. It's a shame for NewGen Ninjas, obviously the circumstances that they came in with, the way in which they will bow out of this tournament. They can hold their heads extremely proud for what they did, overcome so many obstacles to get themselves that top 8 position.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was really well played. A good, valiant effort on the side of NewGen. You see a Tech there just showing respect to the players that they just beaten. And I gotta be honest, it was tough. It was difficult for the side of NewGen, but they tried their hardest, right? Both of these teams, this is not at all the stage 5 that they were expecting. But they, like I mentioned, they tried to do as best as they could. Look at Tech not only getting the kills, he was there with a tied up time of 2 minutes and 34 seconds. If I'm not mistaken, the other player that we were talking about earlier also had 2 minutes and 34 seconds. It seems like, you know, a fun number to end up with.
I mean, Tectonic, that is certainly MVP right there. That stat line is different. It's a great effort from Jez, 44 and 30. He clearly wanted to have more of a say in this Poland World Championships, but it's a case of it's a step too far sometimes. Again, there's no system there really. They're plugging square pegs in round holes. It's kind of trying to make do with what you're not natural on. And they've put up a good fight and been incredibly entertaining while out here.
Yeah, that's for sure.
OUG, yeah, they look great. S&D as well was solid, very comfortable there. It's just that control. You sit and you look at the control and you go, okay, how the hell did that happen? I think that's the one thing that they're going to have to figure out as they march on in this tournament. It doesn't get much easier from here. Every team that's eliminated, every step forward you take, it is a better roster standing in front of you who've earned their place, their right to not only be in these championships, but to look ahead towards Sunday.
Absolutely, absolutely. What's ahead of them, it's what will be the most important part, and there you have it, winners, OUG. Such a great job, such a great job in here.
It was, indeed. And these 5 gentlemen all performed incredibly well. We've mentioned many of the names on the roster, and one of them that had a great series was Raf. We've got an interview down the main stage alongside Mami.
Back here in the pit, off a fresh win, Raf from OUG, my dudes. What a game. How did it feel like?
Honestly, going off the loss against SC, we are in a do-or-die situation, so we took it really calm, started breathing in and out, calms are really, calmed and all that. So it feels good to win, honestly, one step at a time.
You're no stranger to a lower bracket run, especially with Tribe last 2 years ago, 2-3 years ago. It was Tectonic there, and now you have Tectonic in your team, knowing very well that, hey, I've been here before. We won a championship because of his lower bracket run. Has he given any kind of advice to you guys in terms of this?
Honestly, Tectonic has like the backbone of the team. He's the veteran. He's always told us to keep calm. Regardless of situations, we are all going through a little bit of issues here and there, but at the end of the day, he's always there for us, telling us to calm down, just keep forward,
you're utilizing this life for OUG here. Like I told Tectonic a while ago, like you guys have nothing to lose, and it seems like you're really showing up and having a possibility to go up against another team that's going on right now. That's gonna be Stalwart and Galoris. I know. That's gonna be really tough. So you're gonna be going up against them. You haven't gone through Galoris yet. What are you expecting for your next matchup?
Honestly, against either or, I think against Stalwart, we learned from our mistakes, we're coming stronger. But if it is against Glories, it is no new game. You know, unfortunately, with LG last year, we did lose in a very, very tight game. So we're going to make sure not to repeat that this time. But either way, we're excited.
No mistakes, or else they will be punished. Thank you so much, Raf. Have a good game. Thank you so much. They're going to be waiting, and we're watching that current stream right now. But let's see what's going to happen. Off to you, casters.
Oh, wonderful interview there with, of course, Raf and Mommy. And I gotta say, it's refreshing to hear that kind of discussion go on where he's like, yes, we lost them last year, but we're looking to have grown into that this year if we play against Galoris. On the opposite side of things, he's kind of like, look, we're a team that just feels like we can face up against anybody and have a good run at things regardless of who it is in front of them. So if it is Stalwart, if that's who they end up playing, then they will certainly have that challenge lay out in front of them. The playoff bracket in front of us here, so confirmation that Q9 beat off Stalwart in the top there, and Elevate against Q9 will be up in your winners bracket, your winners finals. On the bottom side, it's Stalwart and Galoris. Wolves will be the team to play OUG, and OUG will face very few tougher tasks than this. So if growth has been the theme of the day, they're going to have to find it very quickly coming out of that series into this one for who they're facing next.
Yeah, no, it's going to be amazing to see how well they can adjust. The side of OG has beaten before Wolves, only once. But outside of that, it's been very, very difficult for them. But it's possible, it's doable. That's the thing that we've been talking about a lot. The fact that, well, anything can happen as long as you're well prepared and you can manage yourself to give the greatest performance.
100%. Again, it could be your last matchups here in the World Championships. Put it all out there, and you have beaten them once before. However, if we're going to settle that tale, we're going to do it after this very quick break.
And SDE were able to really play that round to quite high effectiveness. So here's a different look now for SDE on the offense. Very fast hit down there.
It's right through tunnel. Mihawk a little late to the party, but brings the goods. Sometimes you don't have to show up right when the invitation says to be there, as long as you're bringing the chips and salsa.
Is that real?
Yes.
All right.
Jai, a little bit of trouble here up close on B. And look at the mini-map. Stare at it. Look at those blue dots making their way around the back. Hey, how are you? Good for one. Doesn't get a read on the second, but Foki is feeling it. Meanwhile, the snipers for Stalwart both connect, and all of a sudden, this play for Gallerus is almost a bit isolated, and Foki comes through! 1, 2, 3! Light him up, knock him down!
Woo! Ace from Lucasen. Pop-off moment now for Foki. A player that we really wanted to see step into his own, struggled in Search versus Wolves. And man, did he have a good map number one, and even better, he's just trying to catch Lucasen right now. He's just too behind. So now, what do you do with your STE? Last round of offense. Seems to go back to the old standard. Get some wine presents, maybe get some nades, push over towards Arch perhaps?
Mihawk drops though. That will limit how the defense can set themselves up, and Foki also taken down quickly. So it should be a pretty fast plant here for Stalwart in the 5v3. And honestly, if I were looking at one guy, I'm looking at Lucasen. Yep, that's right, Obs team. You know what I'm looking at. He's going to have to be El Diablo right now.
No late utility coming through from Gallerus, at least it looks like. The longer they wait, the more question marks that they're going to end up having. SCE still in a really good position to at least cover the flank. The only player that would be able would be Hen. Zeus does find the first blood for the retake.
Just spamming through the windows. That takes down one. Here's the slide across. Lucasen, what do you got, brother? Mi hermano, not much. Stalwart's post plant too strong. Zeus able to connect once to try to get the hands hot, but it's a 3-3-half as we swap at the sides.
Go figure. Post plant retakes here on Tunisia. Still very difficult to do, even if you are Lucasen. So you go from here at a 3-3 dead even half going into Tunisia. I'm looking at Clove to constantly be that real thorn in the side with his HSO shotgun, just always lurking in a lot of different locations, keeping Gallerus honest. But we've seen this from Gallerus. They're very okay to leave the bomb and spawn, just to play for a good timing, and it garners the first blood.
Yeah, that's just not showing a lot of nade presence early towards A, and so Stalwart are like, let me take a look. Well, that's going to cost you.
It sure does.
Early 5v4. Focus up towards mid, and ooh, Foki gets a little bit baited right there as Jai is there to cover his other defender. That's good for a couple, but Mihawk says bet. Or whatever the Portuguese equivalent it would be.
I say bet.
They have the bomb.
Bomb now recovered. But look, FTX. Yeah, he's going to end up getting the isolated 1v1. If he's going to be able to get the kill, would have been something, but Lucasen will take him down in return. But now the bomb's pancake over towards your spawn. Skurd just going to completely give it up, just to try to play for the rewrap over towards B, while Mihawk and Hen go for the chase.
Tons of time on the clock, so there's a lot of opportunity and option for how Gallerus decide to play this 2v1. Rather for Skurd, he's just trying to beat some timing, and I don't believe he sees that. Still behind the play, but I don't think he knows that he is chasing footsteps right now.
Oh, he is chasing Ghost hard right now. There is no way that he would know. I mean, he did clear all of B. It would be astonishing if it was down that site.
There's the information. Oh, and Hen, good timing right there, has the gun up, playing the corner on the entryway. Take the first opening offense.
But it's one of those gambles that when you leave the bomb and spawn like that and you got to go back for it because you don't have any arch presence and it's just an isolated player trying to make that play of Lucasen, as good as he is, he will get isolated and traded out. So almost a real scary thing, but Gallerus are right back into the lead. Okay.
Maybe he's born with it, maybe it's Maybelline.
Definitely born with it.
Definitely born with it. Dude, Gallerus are swarming, my guy. I'm liking this tempered aggression that we're starting to see. And yeah, Chai's like, there's more than one there. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
So we'll rotate the bomb to B. Possibility to trap the offense here with that long route coming from FDX.
Full coverage around the bomb site. Nade is going to land inside a tunnel ever so slightly, but it's not going to connect with anything. This nade will definitely.
That will. Doesn't stop the plant, though. Reset now coming through. 2v2 on the bottom side at B. 1v2 the other direction as Lucasen has been aware of the threat, but Jai connects through tents. Foki just going to play a corner, and the defense is going to try to take the 3v2. At least that's the idea. Stalwart taking their time, seeing if they can find something from FDX, but he gets tagged through the wall. Now the hit from the front needs to start to produce. Reef for the opener. Shot over the top for Jai, doesn't land. And that's the end of that opportunity for the retake. Gallerus get to 5.
Getting loud, get their 5th round, and marching their way closer towards a tight-up series. It's exactly what you want to see from Gallerus, but SCE are starting to get a little creative as far as their opening roles are concerned. We'll have to see if they can catch any good timing up through mid to stop this very aggressive Gallerus team from running them over. The bomb gets picked up initially, you know what that means from Gallerus. They're going to execute a site pretty quickly. Lucasen hoping for a challenge. Again, no nades, much like you were saying.
Yep.
Hoping for somebody to challenge, but it's not going to come through.
Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice.
Still shame on me.
Still shame on me.
Yeah, still shame on me.
Patient approach for Gallerus. Feeling things out as they make their way through plants and up into the entrance to B. Deep smoke blocks the sniper angle. Clove has to rotate quickly to try to assist if at all possible, but honestly, this is fine for Gallerus. They're already on the site. They already got some angles to challenge, and even though it's a 1-for-1, the bombs should be in a position to try to be committed, but Stalwart is going to reinforce from the front, and now Gallerus are going to bail.
So much time here in this 3v4. So they're going to leave Foki behind. Oh, he's hearing him leave. He's hearing him leave, but he's not hearing the one that's crouching right around the corner.
Oh.
Hello?
Time.
Oh.
FDX stuck. And he's going to get isolated here. Should.
Spending so much time.
So here comes the rest of the help. Hen thinking about the plant and backs off. Now it's just down to can you connect 1v2. Stalwart trying to surround. Still time to play with this and isolate the angle. He catches info onto 1. And he's going to try to trust the scope. Does not see Skurd walking his way up ramp, and Stalwart bring us back to within 1.
All right. So Stalwart keeping themselves in the game 1 round at a time. Only trailed by 1 now. They're just supposed to come through all off of the innate. I'm pretty confident saying that Lucasen did drop a trophy there inside the arches, so that was probably the giveaway that somebody was lurking over there. So leaving the bomb back in spawn, nades up through mid. Gallerus looking for about a double chow through mid just for that first blood, but it is a heavy stack on the A defense.
More wallbang attempts, just looking mostly, I would imagine, for information with those hit markers, but nothing going to connect initially. Lucasen on the other side, though, does find...
As far as artists go, I wouldn't say I'm a great one, but some of those players also need lessons. That was a wild performance from some of them. Some really good ones as well. I've also got to give it to Palatal. The entire Stalwart roster are clapping him for drawing an S and an E on the paper, and he's like, what are you talking about? This was simple. Yeah, anyway, kind of enjoying the content here of the Call of Duty Mobile World Championships. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Enigma, this is Gil, and we've run you through 4 series today on Stream B as well. There's a whole heap of them yesterday. We've had so many great ones, but we enter the final one. How much are you looking forward to this, my friend? We're going to get Wolves against OUG.
Yes, I mean, I'm super, super excited. We've seen them in the past. If you guys follow competitive closely, you've seen them fight when it comes down to the Chinese region. And it is always so amazing to see a situation like that where you reach to a point where there's so very few teams that you will face your region colleagues once again, and this is exactly going to be the case.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of that through this tournament, right? We had the 2 Brazilian teams face off against each other with Gallerus coming out on top. This is 2 of the Chinese teams, and these guys face each other a lot. They know each other very, very well. You mentioned it before the break. OUG are a squad that often come out on the wrong side of this roster have impressed us at points through this, but they'll have to overcome a very different challenge in the face of Wolves. So for OUG here, we've been dubbing it the miracle run. Can you pull it off? Well, this is tectonic. Kings, Cartels, Solo, and Raf. All 5 of these players have been brilliant. Anyone that stood out of those 5 gentlemen?
Historically, of course, gotta be for the past 2 days, Kings and Cartels. But today in particular, Raf seems to be on fire.
Yeah, Raf's been having a great time. I think I enjoy the way he plays his claw. He's bouncing off and off of these tough environments. Very selective about the way he plays around it. But yeah, just in general, has had a great day. But Kings and Cartels, that's that dynamic duo that we certainly enjoyed a lot of yesterday. And some of the highlights that we're going to get here are going to exemplify that. I mean, Cartels just using that SMG to such great effect. That VMP often in his hands becomes a nightmare to face with it. And they've managed to get to this point with a strong run. They've obviously just had to overcome the new gen ninjas. In the hard points in particular, they were unstoppable.
Completely unstoppable. And that's the thing. Have they, their opponents managed to come up with something different? Because at this point, they are on the very last few potential matches. I mean, it's the last match here on Stream B. So at this point in time, I'm intrigued how well they can apply what they have already learned before getting in here, what they have learned by playing in here. And well, so far we've seen that OG is a team that tends to be pretty calm about a lot of things, but if you're talking about calm, what about Wolves? They always seem to be so chill every single time.
Yeah, exactly. On the opposite side of this whole conversation, while we can wax lyrically about how good OUG are for some time, Wolves are a different breed, quite simply. The Wolfpack will find themselves down here in the lower bracket, having lost to the defending champions in Elevate. I think the only time we've not seen the squad be incredibly composed was at the end of that. They looked incredibly disappointed. What that can often do to a very good team is light a fire under them and make them incredibly difficult to face next. Zai, Peg, Sounds, Wind, and King. These 5, other than that series against Elevate, and even that, we went to a game 5. It was an absolute bloodbath back and forth.
It was.
This Wolves roster are stacked with so much talent.
So much talent. It's incredible to see them each and every single time. It's been amazing. It's been a blast. I'm sure that they will once again try to prove why they want to be the champions. It definitely has to hurt. I'm pretty sure that it hurt it for them losing that game 5 against Elevate. But as you mentioned, that pressure can actually help them if they manage it properly. Like you mentioned, Sounds King, Sai, Wind, and Peg. This team that had a little time to recompose themselves. That a loss like that is always tough. It's always tough to lose to a team like Elevate when you know you're capable of beating them, because they are.
Well, let's dig into that a little bit then. We got to watch that series. There were things that obviously Wolves did very well. You forced it to a game 5 against the defending champions. There were things that they also are going to have to very quickly learn from, right? With their coach in the back as well, Stanley. Are there specific things that you were looking at and thinking, that's not an example of the Wolves that we were expecting to come here? That's not the team that we thought we were going to take over and reclaim their crown?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. There's still details that need to be touched on. And, well, we're going to get to look at a few of the highlights from this team as well. I feel like Wolves are, like I mentioned, capable of great things. But it's not always that easy. It's not always about just what you can do. It's what you actually do. It does not matter if you are the greatest player. If at the moment of truth, you commit a series of mistakes, you may end up losing. And unfortunately enough for Wolves, that's exactly what happened. At this point in time, like you mentioned, there's mistakes that were made. There's issues that need to be solved in order to, well, remain on top here.
100%, but they do get an opportunity to fix those live. Obviously, last year, they had a tough group stage. They went 3-2. That put them in a position where they then played against Elevate, were obviously eliminated. And they didn't get the opportunity to kind of go at that again. There was no hunt for revenge. There was no opportunities to grow in the back. This is, double bracket now. It's going to let them come into this and go, we know what's our problem here on LAN. We know how to fix it.
Yes.
And their pursuit for perfection will continue. They did have a wobble, as we've talked about, through the COD Major season. It was in that stage 2, their S&D and control slipped a little bit. I actually think they've been pretty good across those modes, apart from that one loss to Elevate. The hard point for me just hasn't been what I was expecting. I came into this tournament thinking that they were going to walk over anyone in front of them when it came to hard point. Elevate were very good there, in fact. And for me, when it comes to Wolves, especially on that Hacienda, I need to see a bit more. But do we get it in the series? Let's find out what our 5 maps are going to be as these two square off. The answer is no. Hacienda is banned out, so they won't have to deal with it. It will be a summit to get us kicked off. Coastal S&D, Crossfire Control. Map 4, should we make it, ladies and gentlemen, is an Apocalypse. And map 5 is a Standoff. It's a glorious map set, as it always is inside COD Mobile. That's certainly one thing we're very blessed with here, a wonderful range of maps to play on. But Summit then, we know that that's very aggressive, tight corridors, up front, close and personal. We saw Cartel and King, for example, really enjoy that in the last series. They're going to have to enjoy it here as well.
Yes, they will. And I find it really, really interesting that it was actually Wolves who picked Summit. And I find that interesting specifically because they tend to do things like, well, we just saw OG have a blast on Summit, but it's not the first time they've done something like this. A few years ago when they were facing against Luminosity, who coincidentally also had Tectonic, Solo, and if I'm not mistaken, also Kings, they were super, super good when it came down to Summit because of those shotguns, but they go for that power move. They themselves pick the map, and then they ruled that game against them. And I'm sure that's pretty much exactly what they're trying to do here again.
Makes me wonder as well whether Wolves were watching that series and when there's an issue there that we feel we can exploit.
Probably.
Which would be the Wolves' way. They know very much how to VOD review and look into their opponents. Map 2, Coastal. We've seen a couple of bits of that through this weekend. It's become a map, actually, where we're seeing very different strategies. Sometimes it's all-out aggression. Other times it is waiting for as long as humanly possible before moving into one of the sites. Honestly, struggling to kind of sit and decide who that kind of sits on as a favorite. It's not the Tunisia, which has been an issue at points for Wolves through the year, but also we're not going to see the firing range in which we've seen mixed results from OUG.
Yes, indeed. I feel like it's not necessarily the greatest set of maps when it comes down to OUG, but there's definitely hope. There's definitely hope for them. I feel like the first map is going to be a great indicator on what to expect for both of these teams. I feel like Wolves definitely has something in mind. They have a plan and they will try to make sure that, okay, I'm gonna pick your map that you just played, that you did great, and I'm gonna show you that even then, I can crush you in it.
That's a very good point to bring up, because imagine right now you're looking at that map set as OUG, you're thinking, oh, Summit Hardpoint, this is gonna be a hell of a time. And Wolves curb stomp you.
Exactly.
That's going to highlight the gap in quality between the two teams. Being said, OUG, again, full of characters, full of players that ride with momentum, and off the back of the way they handled New Gen Ninjas, I'm expecting them to look good early on here. It's all about that gas in the tank. I think some of the examples with Wolves of hard points that we've seen is even if they don't get off to the greatest start, they keep themselves in, they make the adjustments, and they put themselves out for a better closing stage, which gets them over the line. It's the difference between good and great teams, which we've seen here Elevate another example of that. But these two, as they get themselves set up here, it's a case of OUG coming off the back of a win. Wolves are coming off the back of a loss. I wonder how much that shifts the air in the room, because one of you's on the way up. You've got this trajectory where you're feeling good. The other side of things, it's we just lost to the team that we were supposed to come here and beat. That's tough, right?
It is definitely tough, and that's exactly why I'm not sure what to expect. I know both teams, but I don't know how much of an impact, as you mentioned, that win for OG means, that loss for Wolves means. It is going to be really, really interesting to see how that pans out for the two of them. So far, well, mostly people are starting to get ready, but well, I don't know. That's a great point, because like you mentioned, one is winning, one is losing, and they are facing each other.
I wonder how much pressure it applies to King. He's the guy who's had to come in here and replace. He'll have been less prepped than most. Yes, he's a phenomenal talent. Yes, he knows the ropes here for sure. But you're expecting to play a Rise if you're Wolves. You've got King then alongside you. And he's kind of stepped out of retirement to come into this roster. And having lost that last one, is he thinking, what is it me? Have I been the kind of the slower point of this team? Is it my participation here that means that we're not through against Elevate. And I wonder if he's kind of sitting and thinking this is one of those series where he's got to show exactly how good he is. Because we saw how good he was yesterday. There's no doubt he's a talent. But is this one of those series where he suddenly takes over?
Yeah, of course, because it's important not to be great in a single day. It's important for you to be great every single day. So far, has good, definitely some good performances, but not to the extent that we saw yesterday. And for example, in this case, in the Battle of Kings, well, it's gonna be interesting to see who is going to remain on top. You know, Kings from OG or King from Wolves. In here, we've seen that today, Kings from OG has done a really good job. And just before anything happens, at some point I'm gonna mix them up. I'm a little bit dyslexic, so please ignore me if I call Kings or King's King. You know, it's there.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I mean, what's the colors? Blue and yellow. We'll go with Blue King and Gold King. We'll make it work that way.
Okay.
But it's a case for me of looking across these players. I'm kind of tuning in here all the way through the day. OUG, whether they just lost a map or just won a map, laughs, jokes, all fun. Not seeing that right there. I think they recognize the task that's in front of them. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Sometimes it's the right thing to lock in. Other times it's good to be a bit free-flowing and a bit carefree and kind of bring that into your game.
Yeah, that moment where you're playing a game, you suddenly are losing, and you just sort of stretch your back. You make sure that you're not that curved and try to focus, or hyper-focus for that matter, into the situation. And, well, a lot of the times it goes good, but if it's too much pressure that you feel, it can actually go against you. So it's gonna be nice to get a look onto the minds from Wolves, because we saw them like full on just thinking, looking into the phone and getting just thrilled to start, getting excited for it, and that's exactly what we're gonna get. We're getting straight onto map number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Wolves versus OUG, the two representatives from China about to fight neck to neck, side to side, as they try to move forward on the World Championships of Call of Duty Mobile.
Yeah, for one last time here, we'll break off for a map 1 in Stream B. And Summit is somewhere that we have seen OUG look good already. But these two will know each other so inside out. They'll be playing counters and bluffs all over this. It's split so far in terms of the points and contested on the hill. 25 seconds still left of this. At what point do we start to see rotations and fight for the spawns? Well, Wolves are going to give themselves a very aggressive line here. And Sound's getting a kill up high, being able to peer in through the window will then help find the second onto Raph, and it's a clean feed if you are a Wolves fan. So OUG need to find a response and to bounce back quickly. We of course head out to the railings for this P2, and it's got about 5 seconds before it pops. So look for people to shift the positioning. But look at that spawn in for Kings. He ends up behind the Wolves team, so he can really upset them here.
And I mean, at the end of the day, more than not, we see both of these teams actually go for the power move of, okay, you can rotate, I don't care, I don't mind, I'm still gonna kick you out within seconds. They both like to go for this play, so it turns into something different to see the two teams trying a similar strategy at the same time. I'm intrigued if maybe Wolves will be the one trying to rotate early, or they're gonna stick to their usual plan, fight till the very last second, and then eventually move to the next one, kick them out as quickly as possible. But well, that's usually OG's plan at the same time too. Right now, 20 seconds left, and the first to move is actually going to be the side of Wolves.
In terms of individuals here, Wynn's already up to 12 kills and has used the Sparrow, so he's flying. Everyone else kind of sitting somewhere around 5 to 10. And largely in the slaying numbers are on the side of Wolves. OUG, though, being efficient with those kills, making them work in terms of point count. Zai holds up on the left, but not well enough to beat out Kings, who's not stopped shooting like a demon all day. You squeeze in through P3. Cartels with the Tempest would have wanted more than that, but Sounds countered. You do get EMP'd though, so that pauses you for a moment. Doesn't matter, the millisecond you're released, you get going again. Tectonic then, what can you do? King's Tempest as well to try and battle off here in the operator duel. Reads the play off to the right very well against Solo. and just trying to peer in from the outside from the gondola, but you're going to have more company and you get shut down. Peg has the equalizer, does get himself in on the point, and this is an important 30 seconds for Wolves to grab. You don't want OUG to take it and start to get a bit of a lead.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're getting a bunch, and I mean a bunch of kills leading the way, but it didn't really reflect on the scoreboard. Look at that, it's 63-45. Yes, they still have the time, yes, they still have the control, but they were not necessarily capitalizing on those kills. Now they're finally doing so, and it was important to do it right now, because if they completely lose track of what's going on, yeah, you may be getting 50, 80 kills ahead of your enemies, but if you're not actually transferring that situational kill into an actual kill control, well, you're gonna struggle. In here, they fix that, they tie that, and as the rotation is actually going to be done first for OUG, let's see how long it takes for Wolves to try to break through.
Yeah, they did manage to scoop most of that final 30 seconds. They've pulled it relatively close. OUG, though, set up, as you said. That means you've got to punch through this line if you're Wolves. They haven't found that much of a problem against teams in this tournament, as they typically don't. Kings with the double gives you a bit of space, a bit of breathing room. Just controlling that outside so well is Tectonic as well. Wynn's going to play forward with the shotgun, using the smoke as cover to get himself in. And just shifting around here is going to give room for Peg to get a kill as well. Doing great here is Wynn. I think it's being as much a thorn in the side and stopping that defensive setup as the kills that he gets.
All right, 100 killer drone now. 15 seconds left. The fight continues. Tectonic inside of Hill. So far, 13 kills for him, trying to survive. There's a shotgun and a double there for Wynn. Goes for the triple. Takes it like it's nothing. Just popping skulls left and right for Wynn. Already reaching 20 kills in here. And unfortunately enough, that's not translating once again to the Hill time. And that's been an issue that we saw from yesterday on the side of Wolves. And I feel like they've had it for a while. They don't have necessarily OVJ committed player to actually be constantly doing it, and that could be a struggle if they're not careful enough.
Definitely going to see these kills turn into more points. The fact I'm seeing Wind on 25 and Zai on 24, yet you're trailing by 30, the math doesn't really add up there. The King will pop the Tempest, finds one up high. That'll give him the lookout. Solo's going to flee for his life and won't live for very long. So you've got yourself a hold of P1 here. That being said, OUG find routes through the lower side. King will deal with the top and then eventually decide, you know what, I'll help you out first. Don't worry, I've got your back. Sounds does enough. 18 seconds left on this, so look for those rotations to start to come through. Wolves have the preferred side out of that, really. So how do OUG counter? They go up, round, or through? What's the play call? Kings with 2 suggests it's through, and although you do fall next, you did enough to get the assist in for your teammate.
Okay, so 115 to 90. We're moving on to point number 2. There's a few utilities available on both sides, so let's see who uses what in this point number 2. The breath missile from up above being used by Peg. Let's see if it lands into anyone. According to the feed, no, that was not the case. Inside of the hill, there's going to be Rap trying to survive. There's the push from Sai. Sai gets executed with a double kill. KRM on fire for Rap. That's exactly the player that we were talking about earlier, doing a phenomenal job so far here, with over 60 seconds already inside of the hill.
He recognizes he's in a Saturday, wants to get himself through to the Sunday, and showing why we need to make sure we're putting plenty of respect on his name. There's actually a player that slipped through here for OUG. Kings again in round the back. It seems to consistently be him finding routes. And if he finds the couple of kills here, surprises the Wolves players, I can allow his teammates not only pick up a couple of seconds, but begin the rotation, which is on. And Solo's here with the shotgun. Raps decided to invest the claw and finds it despite being flashed up. Great work from him. Another moment where we're saying this guy's name, and he controls the outside gondola as well. Wonderful stuff. Should hand the spawns over, should be getting you the rotation. You still have more company though. And will he go out and deal with it? Well, he doesn't need to, because the rest of the boys are here.
Fairly clean transition here for OUG, and even through the smoke, Kings managed to find one, and then a second. Now, there was the usage of the Tempest. Not gonna connect, but at least scares them off fairly quickly. Sai at a distance with the Death Machine will do what he does best, which is spraying. That's a triple, going for the Quadra. Now, there's the Sparrow over there. No value off of it for Kings, and because of that, Wolves are gonna now retake the spawns and get through, get inside. A triple kill with the Sparrow for Wind. There's gonna be the retake for Cartels, but still not going to manage to get inside in.
Yeah, Wolves really want these points. They've invested 3 different operators very quickly. So you want the payout, you want the reward, and it's where they tied it up last time, if you remember. But OUG, they'll also recognize that, and as they contest, if you can maintain the lead and then get that clean rotation in again, could set them up to excel over the hill beyond catching distance. I will say for Zai there, the fact that he finds 2 inside that smoke is insane, but the rotation's in for OUG. Wolves are going to chase, but just 3 points between them. It's anyone's game.
Very interesting rotation through Snow. That's going to be completely turned down by Cartels with a triple. They try to go through, but Tectonic with a nade is going to stop that rather quickly. Now Raf connects the shot and immediately capitalizes on it by eliminating that equalizer. Tempest going to be popped by King as he tries to follow through. He finds a double, tries to go for more, and allows a clean break for the side of Wolves. Finally regaining control of what's going on because they were trying to catch up for the longest time.
They were, and they figured it out. And this is what Wolves do from what we've seen. It is sometimes a slow start, but they make the adjustments, figure it out as they go. Being said, OUG, they've shown us they've got the stamina. They don't really run out of gas in the tank. They'll keep up this pace. And Solo tucked into the corner will be found out. 2 kills for Sounds as he finds his way to the point. Tectonic's going to try and answer. Raf yet again with the KRM, so adept with it. Will get the lead back. What's left of this scrap time will be contested over because the next hill it's a stone's throw away. It's just back to P1. Wolves will be in, but OUG, those numbers will start to swarm the north side.
Absolutely insane. 180, 168. Advantage going in favor of OUG. A great control now as they try to move over onto P1 reset. There's 3 operators going to be used at the same time. A Pred missile from up above by King that connects onto Cartels. That is huge. They also took down Solo with the Death Machine. There's only the claw now for Raf. 29, making 30 bomb now for Raf as he continues to push for more. They realize that there's someone inside of the hill. They quickly try to get rid of him. Not going to be possible. Death Machine from up above, coming down from Sai, rushing into the hill, finds a double, tries to go for the triple, tries to help out his teammates, and that's going to be the clean area now in favor of Wolves as they try to once again close that gap.
Zai does so well there, not only by shotting down the claw in the hands of Raf, but just controlling any reinforcements that arrived. And it's a bit of a shimmy, a bit of a shake, but doesn't connect enough if you are Wind. Raf cleans that up. 3 clean kills for OUG. And the feed's looking pretty here if you are the underdog. As you hit 200 points. Problem is, Wolves, that forever in the fight, refuse to go away. And it's going to need more moments of magic. 47 kills on the board for Zai, 42 for Wind. You've not got those kind of numbers if you're OUG, but it doesn't matter, you're turning it into points.
That's right, that's what you gotta do. Right now, double kill for Wind with the Sparrow, double for Sai with his weapon. Now everybody begins to rotate, but let's see how effectively they can do it. Here inside of the hill, there's gonna be none other than Raf. Getting that kill with the KRM, immediately pushing for more, has to reload. He's gonna get the help from his allies. Still not gonna be enough, but inside of the hill, there's OUG yet again, 214. The advantage is still gonna be there, still gonna be noticeable. 30 seconds left, and the side of OUG doing a tremendous job at taking so many points with so very few kills. They've been so effective in those kills to make sure that they are taking as much value as possible.
Wolves have managed to get on the point. The rest of this will tie it and send us surely to a final hill at P3. OUG also can't win it here. So it's a case of, well, how long do you stick around? You can see they're already starting to fight for the spawns on P3. Predator Missile's going to come in from Kings to stop that push and support his brother in the back line, and Raf will lose that fight. Kings finds Wind. If you are Wolves, you're still getting the spawns, but you're punched so far back. You need your boys on the outside to arrive, and they do. 3 dead, OUG in. It will be contested. It's 30 points for Wolves, 24 for OUG. This is surely the last hill.
Equalizer is huge right now. They're going to tie things up. Beck currently waiting for the opponents. Tries to go for them. Not going to work out. There's going to be 2 operators. There's the War Machine by Tech, who clearly knows what he's doing. There's the Tempest from the inside, just currently waiting less than 10 seconds away, 20 seconds away from victory. 35 kills, waiting for the next one. His allies down, tries to defend, gets the kill. Inside of the kill, there's still Cartels with the Tempest, trying to survive, trying to remain alive. There's going to be the push, not going to break through. The Clonova going to be used by Raf to clear things up. That's a double. Goes for the triple, does not get it. There's the Death Machine inside now by Sai, already with 56 kills. They have the control, and there's enough time. There's enough time for Wolves to steal victory away. Can they do it? There's the 100 killer drone from outside. They're trying to break through. They finally do it, but it's still not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough time. 249 and OUG are still alive, and they have the initial hold.
Egg will get here. Zai's trying to arrive in through the north side. OUG
my
are on
God!
the point. 1 second to go. And another 50 to 249 victory happens on the B stream. OUG dived the point in just enough time. Half a second from Wolves taking it.
Half a second.
And OUG will celebrate in style. Raf gets loud and he deserves to. Such a good performance there to rip that away, to snatch it.
I don't know who got himself into the hill for half a second just to die, because that's what he did.
Yes.
He got in just to die. But because of that death, they end up with a victory in a game that they are losing by what? 40 kills?
It's a lot of kills, yes, it's a lot of kills. I'm not sure who it was. I think it's Solo who decides to dive the point there, a mortar for his team.
Goodness.
Either way, it doesn't matter. It's enough to see you through. What a performance out of all of these players, but none more so than Kings. 53 and 46 to top the way, plus 20 assists and nearly a minute in the hill. We know that Summit is chaotic. It's about controlling that, but sometimes I think that players thrive in it, and for OUG, Kings is certainly one of them. A great performance. That being said, on the other side, Wolves, if you're someone like Zai right now, you're looking at how many kills you put up, you're kind of questioning how the hell did we not win this? How did we not turn this into more points?
Yes.
And it's moments like that at the end, selfless plays from OUG. We saw some great technical ability out of Wolves, but we didn't really see that.
It's just crazy. I'm still trying to get over this game, because we were talking about the mental coming down from Wolves, right? How do you feel now that you have lost a game that should have had earned it like 3 points ago? You are not properly getting the hill time that you should be getting with so much of a kill differential. That is just a huge mistake coming down from the side of Wolves. And I mean, we were talking about the fact that they always look to be calm. In here, I genuinely feel like they should be concerned, and understandably so. They lost to Elevate, and right now they're losing to OG.
They certainly are. And what I will say, to put this context of the whole series together, you did say that OUG had to win map 1. You do not want to be looking down the rest of that series, having lost a map that we know you're good on, to a Wolves team that are very good on Apocalypse if we get to that map 4. Let's look ahead. Let's talk about the Coastal S&D. We've seen OUG walk relatively comfortably over the New Gen Ninjas. How much we can take away from that, I don't really know. And I guess I posed the question to you. Is it one of those where they dominated a team that should have been quite close? Or is it a case of they had a system and New Gen Ninjas had nothing to counter that? Does that factor into how you're thinking they'll perform against Wolves?
I definitely feel like it's a completely different situation now for OUG, because although they did great against the New Gen Ninjas, it comes down to the fact that they were not playing S&D, they were playing Team Deathmatch by rounds, you know, and it was a completely different scenario. This time around, Wolves, yes, it's their not so great game mode, but it still was a team from China who managed to end up as a first seed for China. So I feel like it's nowhere near a fair comparison for the side of OUG, and I said it was important for that same reason for OUG to win the hard point, because the search and destroy, I feel like it should be more inclined to Wolves. But then again, how much of the mental has been, you know, shattered a bit on the side of Wolves?
Well, we shall find out. Raf almost finds out just how much momentum a frag grenade has as it misses his ear by millimeters. Using this KRM to hold Salas down. And that feels like the perfect spot for him with how good he looked. Tectonic starts off with 2 here, finds Wind, Sounds, and King. 3 dead, and there goes Peg. And as simple as you like, OUG walks straight through the Wars line.
I mean, I'm sorry, OG, I doubted you, I guess. 3 kills for Tectonic, 2 kills for Cartels, and not a single casualty or care in the world for the OUG roster. I'm sorry I ever doubted you, but okay, let's go ahead and see what happens. That was round number 1. You did a great job. Can you do something similar on the next one? So far, a few nades are going to be thrown.
Considerably more aggressive from Wolves this time out on the outside of A. Tectonic played very well on that back. Had he last time? Does he get red? It don't matter. Solo and Kings are dead. Tectonic's going to be tucked inside, and he's next to fall. So 3 cleanly for Wolves. Peg's going to try and hold these back stairs, which will be the correct play. Obviously, we know that because of X-Ray. He's doing it purely based on intuition, but do you have enough heads up to think about where the second player is arriving from? Because you do have a player coming through mid in Cartels. And actually, he's wrapped all the way out.
Let's see. Oh, Sai with a sniper shot onto Cartels. All of a sudden, it's a 1v5 and a whole lot of trouble for Raf. Yes, he's an outstanding player, an insane shotgun to be playing with. But against 5 people, what are you going to do? 15 seconds left. Do you want to push? Do you want to wait? There's no real good answer for the last player alive on the side of OG. He begins to flex with the gloves, but a nade will do the job. In the same way we had a flawless for OG all of a sudden, now it's the other way around for Wolves.
Heads up play there for Isaiah as well. I think he recognizes it's going to be Raf. It's going to be a shotgun. He's looking for close quarters. Throws half a shoulder into that bottom steps. Sees him there and goes, you know what? I don't want anything to do with that. Backs off. So 1 apiece then and 2 clean rounds. 1 for either team. And the nades are out. This time, you've pretty much given up a lot of A if you are OUG. I think you're expecting a B hit to come through or mid. And Wolves are just rinsing and repeating. Nades are going to go out. That should start to shift those blue arrows across. Solo looking to squeeze up through mid. Gets his timings right. He could get behind a few players. You want to do that, though, before this bomb goes down and that post-plant setup is in.
Let's see if they can actually do it, though. Few nades, not going to connect into absolutely no one, so not a whole lot of trouble there. Still patiently waiting. A good nade that does not land onto, I think that was Wind, who was up close on that A site area. Have the opportunity to plant, and they are going to take it. Now 45 seconds on the clock. A very, very interesting strategy coming down from both teams, honestly.
King will open up with the first kill onto Cartels. I feel the problem for OUG here, the lack of routes in, and King has repositioned all the way back through spawn, finds his namesake +1, and they'll do a bit of a dance here in the backline, and King comes out on top of everything. Zai and Win find kills elsewhere, but honestly it's King. He puts himself back through mid, recognizing cut off pretty much the entirety of the map, and even if he does die, the intel comes in. Not that he dies, because he's bloody disgusting with a sniper rifle.
It's incredible to see. I don't think I've ever seen a moment in time where there's 3 rounds in and exactly 15 kills. It is just wild to me, but there you have it. Start of round number 4. First blood in favor of, I think that was King, taking down Cartels. And this has been a weird one for sure, but very, very entertaining nonetheless. Right now, already 30 seconds in, and this time around they were not as quick to immediately rush for one of the sites on the side of Wolves. And, well, so far, not so bad.
It is a play through the mid, though, which is different. It's typically been that A site. Cartels, by the way, a penny for his thoughts as he's fallen quickly twice now. Tonic could be in through the back, and you don't check that corner if you are Wolves, and you'll suffer for it. Sounds and Peg cleaned out. Tectonic then gets himself tucked in behind the bar as well. Raf's going to be fully aware of the players in front of him because he's dodged all the nades, but look at Solo arriving in, and the observers are aware of exactly how important his position could be because it won't be red. There goes Zai, a 1v4. King does pick up one with the sniper rifle, but likelihood is for OUG here, regroup. You know the bomb's down because Tectonic hasn't left it.
Pretty much making a campfire on top of it, just patiently waiting, because they don't have to do anything else, right? 40 seconds in, it's a 1v3. All you gotta do is wait, and that's something that King should be aware of. He is trying to be sneaky, but there's only so much you can do with such an exposed area for a bomb. And that was really, really smart, really, really well done by OG. Once again, tying things up. There's going to be 2 for each. And ladies and gentlemen, are you not entertained? Isn't it this? The highest level of Call of Duty Mobile. I'm enjoying it as if I was a kid. First blood comes through in favor of Wolves so far.
Yeah, understand that you've got a shotgun in hand there and you want to close the gap, but I feel like Solo there's making it easy. King, do you read Cartels through the middle? Yes, but the shot through the railing doesn't hit. Cartels will win that battle. 3v1 though. Only Cartel's still up in this, so you'll be fully aware of where he's coming from. Bomb getting down, wasting no time. Not leaving a window for Cartels to make something happen. and you'll get out. Cartels does very well to catch wind on that exit route, and Wiseside decides to challenge the same angle. I have no idea. Sounds then up against Cartels. You had to recock the sniper, wasn't ready for the fight. The nade's going to go out, and no, you do enough to clutch it if you're Sounds, but that was terrifying for a moment.
I don't know why you would, I mean, understandable that you want to try for the nade, but at that distance, when you have already taken a couple of shots, questionable at best, but it is what it is. Cartels is an outstanding player, and he was so close to clutching that one before at a point, I think it was. So we've seen it do insane plays before this time around. First blood immediately going in favor of Wolves, Wind eliminating Tectonic, and as such, they immediately continue to push for that A side one more.
I feel like Tectonic's going to want that one back. It exposed so far up that outside lane. Made it easy for Wolves, if anything. And these first bloods have started to really notch up in their column. 5v3. It's going to slow it down. It is back to that mid lane for King. This seems to be a consistent strategy. Take a hold of the A side and cut off half the map by placing King where he currently stands. The only player that can really do something to deny this post plant is going to be King's. He's squeezed forward, does get one, gets two somehow, so that's traded, but you've made the situation far more manageable.
A lot more manageable, that's for sure, but King again finds the knock onto Raph. Cartels proving himself to be worthy of being called one of the best out there. Bomb is going to be planted though. 1v2. Bomb is down. It is Sounds and Sai versus Cartels. Cartels with the Odin in hand. Slowly but surely pushing forward alongside with the Tundra. I do believe it was... I'm not too sure which is the weapon that he picked up, but let's wait and see. So far, Sniper misses that shot. It is way too hard. I feel like they almost read his mind with how effectively they pushed into him.
I think it's a timing thing. At this level, you recognize where this player should be, and if they aren't there by that moment, they've got to be elsewhere.
They're late.
And they check it. So we get a switching then of the sides. Wolves 4-2 up, now on them to defend. OUG have done a very different strategy to anything we saw from Wolves and sent the numbers to B. That being said, there are 3 Wolves players here, so you've certainly got a defensive force. Not that Cartels cares, as he makes quick work of it. But there will be a couple of trades, so 3 apiece, and King finds Tectonic to hand you the numbers advantage.
King has been a key player to make sure that the side of Wolves does not lose control of these rounds. Even with the super good kills that OG sometimes get at the beginning, with King constantly poking and making it uncomfortable for the side of OG, has managed to single-handedly make sure that his allies are always in a good situation. And because of that, well, currently Wolves is winning 4-2. We have switched sides, and as you mentioned, OG with a completely different strategy that was very quickly shut down by Wolves.
Zai's turn to control the mid lane with the sniper. If you read solo, well, I don't think you had initially, but doesn't matter. He's got the quick scope. And leaves Cartels in a 1v3. You're going to know where one player's coming. The problem is there's 2 exits to this underground. And he's going to have to go and retrieve the bomb as well. Do you see that it's down? I wonder... as Peg, King, and Zai are all set in wait. And the trap was sprung and gives you a 5-2 lead of Wolves. 2 more rounds to tie up the series.
That's right. They are not so happy about losing the first map, but they have shown to us that even after all that pressure, they have still managed to still be themselves. We know how good Wolves are, and that's exactly what they're showing in here. Game number 2. A lot of nades are going to be thrown, not a whole lot of trophy systems. They are finally being placed down on both sides. That's a hit marker for Sai. That's another hit marker for Sai, who then gets executed. That's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of OG, who immediately tries to plant the bomb. But there's the aggression coming down from Wind, who immediately gets shut down. All of a sudden, this is a 1v3. They don't know where King is at, but as he walks forward, finds the first kill, goes for the second. They're certainly with the possibility to push forward. They decide not to, and I feel like in a sense that's a smart move because we already know how good King is.
I love the decision making here to play around the timing, suggesting there's rotated away. He will have made a lot of noise now, however, so Cartels and Kings will turn and face. King trying to find an angle, laying on his belly, hoping that he will see a chow, wants to force the equation. And with how loud he will be right now, Cartels will be calling all of that out. Does King step up and face? Yes, he does.
Well done.
5-3. Great bomb plant there. Was a little bit concerned once King finds the first. This is a 1v3 written all over it. I think it's the decision to waste no time. Bomb straight down, force Kings to come to us. Don't let him move around the map and pick where he wants to fight.
And the angles they picked were perfect. You know, the second they heard the general area he was at, they both peek at the same time. Doesn't matter where he's looking at, he's just not looking at both at the same time. So even if he would have gotten a single kill, which was not the case, he would have been eliminated. Now Wind gonna find the first blood. King gonna get the second onto Raph. The answer is gonna come from Tectonic by eliminating King, and they try to begin the push towards B. They gotta be cautious. Kings with another kill, this time through the wall onto Peg. That's gonna make it a 3 versus 3 now.
You're a little bit hemmed in here if you are Sounds, but you'll find one. The fact that you achieved that is phenomenal. And you also get the support in from the teammates. He's going to leave Solo in a 1v2, completely on his own, and pinned in to the back of the cellar. Wind reads him, hears him, cuts him down. 6-3. 1 round away. It's great work by OUG in many ways, and they made the right decision to pick a direction and punch through, because otherwise they were trapped in. The thing is, Sounds does enough to not only find the kill, but stay alive for long enough that his teammates can get in and help.
That's the thing. If you don't at least get a kill out of there, you're losing a player. You're not gaining the actual area that you were trying to solidify. That's only going to mean trouble. Now, Raph is immediately getting shut down on round number 10. And as such, let's be reminded, this is map point. This is Wolves trying to equalize the series. And in here, they're a single step away from doing so. And that's something that OG know, because this time around, they are not nearly as aggressive as they've been.
Certainly not. This is a slow play. And King will happily wait. He's found 12 kills with the sniper. Anyone who dares step out of that doorway will be next. Solo, join the graveyard. We'll see you, more than likely, in map 3. 1 minute left on the clock. OUG have a few decisions to make, and it looks like B is the intended target.
It certainly is, but they've lost 2 players already. Not looking too hot, not looking too good for this out of OG. Gonna check every single corner. No one's there just yet. They all pushing forward. There's a few trophies to make sure nothing happens. Through the wall, they take the kill into Tectonic. Absolutely no way for him to defend himself. That felt like paper. Now Kings is trying to defend. That's Cartel with a kill as well. That's 3v2 of this one more doable, but through the wall once again, Cartel is down, and so is Kings. Ladies and gentlemen, that is just a master class in knowing where your opponents are at. If you notice, all of those last 3 players were killed through a wall. That's just how good the side of Wolves knows what they're doing. They're so intelligent with the things that they know how to play, that they have played so many hours, and it heavily reflects on how they finish this one up.
No, they certainly do. I mean, it's been a case there where we know that OUG can slack a little bit at times in the S&D, right? So for Wolves to come out and win that is great, but it's the way in which they do it. It was very controlled. They had different executable strategies. They had a playbook on attack. We saw a lot of what they wanted to do, but it was also